found TonyBasilio.com, home of the Tony Basilio Show. In just a few minutes, we'll be right with you with another award-winning, action-packed edition of your Tony Basilio Show. Tears and all the years.
JBE 1040 AM 99.7 FM. Translator W259AB. Powell, Knoxville.
T to the B, rocking on the ones and the twos and the twos and the ones. Shout out today, R.I.P. Sylvester Stewart, a.k.a. Sly Stone, Sly and the Family Stone. He passed away at the age of 82 yesterday. One of my musical heroes. So many incredible memories listening to that man's wonderful music. To me, as somebody that loves music and loves studying it, right? Popular forms of music. I'll do a little jazz stuff, but, that stuff gets very complicated. Sitting around with Davy Boy Bivens and some of these jazzies, and I'm going, okay, now this key, okay, that 7 chord means we're in this now, but now we're over here. Sly Stone, absolutely all-time wonderful. All-time wonderful. All-time. All-time. It was working, sweetie. What do you mean it wasn't working? It's on there. I'm having a dispute and a disagreement, Matt, with Laura. How's that going to turn out? How's that going to turn out, Matt?
It's going to be your first L of the show.
It's going to take some L's.
I was going to say of the day, but of the show.
Going to take
RIP 2025 Tennessee baseball.
Does that work out well for you, Matt, when you have disagreements with who usually wins, Matt, when you have disagreements with your wife? How's that usually turn out?
She's undefeated there.
Well.
She's like, I guess, was it the Harlem Globetrotters?
You know what she
they never lost, right?
Hey, Matt, she just said to me, hey, Tony, I didn't do it.
And a great line from Laura to start the day.
Well, we're going to talk about the house case fallout today because nobody knows. Brian, I want to do your favorite Vols of 2025, 2024, 2025, Brian. Let's list all the things we did. Let's look back because I want to ask Matt about the baseball team because I just got off the phone with somebody that internally about Tennessee's baseball situation. Bri, by the way, how are we coming on the Tony Vols? How is that whole thing going? Getting the Tony Vols, all that. How's that whole thing going, Bri?
24 hours from right now, Tone. He will be present.
What?
On the show of record. In 24 hours from when I'm speaking.
You mean the Tony Vols is coming in here?
Yes, sir. 24 hours plus a few minutes.
All right, let's talk about the recently completed sports season. As you know it, Bri. Woo, woo, woo. You know it. Woo, woo, woo. All right, Bri, what ought we do this year in the sports year? By the way, Matt, how was Arkansas?
It was good. It was all right. No, it's a really impressive looking stadium, and it's a lot more spread out than like Lindsey Nelson. It has the major league type feel to it. Just, there's just no upper decks.
Mm-hmm.
So, but every seat there is really, really good. The sightlines are incredible throughout. And I know Will Heflin said on the postgame that the sound kind of gets stuck on the field. It doesn't feel that way from the stands, but it's a really impressive looking stadium, and it's really easy to get in and out of. So I was impressed by it.
Yeah, those people celebrate the sport there. I looked it up last night, Matt, because people always want to project, and it's a world we live in, and Tony Vitello is going to be the next coach there when this guy leaves. And, Van Horn's a little older. Brian and I were talking to each other about this last night. Van Horn's a little older than you think he is. How old is he, Brian? Mid-60s?
He is 64. He's a year older than Tim Corbin, which I thought Corbin had him beat in age.
And so the thought is, Matt, somebody wrote an article down there saying, hey, Tony got emotional because he's our next coach here. Do you realize, Matt, since 1970, they have had 2 baseball coaches there?
Yeah, it's impressive. And that's his program, and that he kind of built and created a dynasty there. I think Tony Vitello has a lot of fond memories there, and especially with some of the people, because a lot of the people are still there, as you're saying with Van Horn. But I don't, does it worry me? Not really, because I think Vitello's pretty enriched in Knoxville. He's got a house that his parents stay in here a lot of the year during the season. And this is kind of his program, but you never say never, but I'm not really worried about that. But it's good to, he's an emotional guy and kind of wears his emotions on his sleeve all the time.
Yep.
Whether that's cracking jokes during the in-game interviews or some of those post-game reflective moments that, we saw after Evansville last year. He kind of went off script a little bit and went off script again after Sunday's game, but that's just who he is.
Well,
and I think I like it. I like a coach that's not going to give you coach speak.
Hey, Matt, the other day when he was on the television, he spit a loogie. He hockered, as we say in the trade.
I was told that.
Yeah, he turned sideways.
The previous day he said he apologized for having a small bladder too.
And he apologized for having a small bladder the day before. I've never seen a man spit on camera, though, and say, sorry, guys, I'm having allergy issues. He's having allergy issues like I am right now. So I wonder if we're... I
wonder if the Canadian wildfires were reaching Fayetteville.
I don't know, brah. The air here is terrible. No offense to the air here. So Matt's back. Okay, let me give you a little word on this house settlement and how this stuff's working in real time. First of all, it's effective immediately. Now, Tennessee has people they're visiting in baseball. The football team is out talking to prospects who want to know, this is the way this is going. How much money are you going to pay me? And all these SEC teams are telling these kids we have no idea. Because we don't know what our budget's going to look like yet. We don't know what's available for you, and then we got to put you through some clearinghouse. And the kids and the agents don't want to hear that, but that's where we are right now. This is what I'm telling you is accurate. What are the real-world implications of this? Well, in baseball next year, you would think, on its face, they had 11.7 scholarships to dole out before in the old days, and they would all bitch and moan about that. Now they have a full 34 scholarships, okay? And they hate it. And why do they hate it? Because they're capped at 34 players. I was talking to Willie D. Heflin about the implications of this last night, Matt, as I spoke to somebody close to UT's deal today. Let's say you have 34 players that you bring to camp and 3 or 4 get hurt. Can you call people up? No, you can't. No, you can't. You're stuck with 34. Down to 31, down to 30, down to 29, down to... Matt, travel roster's what? 25, 26, 27? What's travel roster? Do you know?
I think it's at 30, I believe. I think it's around 30. But I don't know how that's going to, I mean, that's not going to work. I don't know how they're going to fix that, but you can't have these teams have 34-man baseball rosters that I believe you have to declare that 34 like in the fall. I think.
That's correct. You have till early December. And then early December, you have to declare, and then what's going to happen is a bunch of the kids are going to cut loose. A bunch of those kids are going to end up on other rosters, maybe in your league, maybe at the Murray States of the world and some of these other programs. But here, Matt, here's the rub. You ready for this? So I ask an obvious question, which is, how many players are you allowed to start in the fall with to get to your 34? And you know what the answer was, Matt? We don't know. They have not arrived at that yet. Now, I would think that if you've had several months to think about something, you might want to arrive at that. You know, because in the past, in the fall, how many people has Tennessee brought in the past, Matt?
I would say there's close to 50.
Mm-hmm. And they kept how many?
About 40-ish, 45-ish. Some people are on the team but not on the roster, but well over 40 to 45 is usually the number that they have on the team.
When guys got hurt, could they add somebody from that 45 to the roster?
No, but that's why you have 45 guys. I get that's that baseball. There's no way that teams can go into a season with 34 players with all the arm injuries.
That's what Tony told me. That's what Tony told me.
Can't do it. Like AJ Russell is a good example. Like he takes up a roster spot, but what if he doesn't pitch for you, or what if you have a guy that gets hurt? In January, right before the season, he has to take up a roster spot all year. Like, does that mean you have to recruit, a handful of two-way guys every year now just to be able to have arms to throw? Like I don't know how that's going to work for baseball. That's going to be a disaster, I think, unless they figure out a way to alter that in some way.
They're not going to alter it. They're giving these people what they're giving them. Not only are they not going to alter it, but at a lot of these schools, the baseball coaches, including Tony, are being told they're being very heavy-handed on these people in terms of how much NIL money they have. Now, the good thing is Tony Vols doesn't care, and he ain't going to listen to people. See, I speak the truth. That's what we do here. And if you think that he's just going to let all this go by the wayside because Danny White wants to give the money to whomever, that ain't going to happen. I'm just telling you right now that, and I'm not here to start trouble, but I am here to tell you, people ask me about that. If you think for 1 second that guy is just going to sit there and let people run over him or say you can't have this or you can't spend this or you can't spend that when he's got a pipeline to these people, no. So this whole thing is going to be a complete mess, but that's just the baseball piece. C and I were supposed to do something yesterday, and I got kind of ill and ended up with an ice bag on my head, and I apologize for that, but we're going to do something on the football side. These prospects, agents, etc., are all asking the same thing. What do you have for me? And these schools have no idea. And what the schools don't know is, do I have to fiend putting together a package that includes, before I could just turn you over to the people at Spire, they'd say, here's what we're going to pay you. And now we got to make it look good for TV because now we have this thing called a clearinghouse. Or we talked about it in the blog today. They named a new president of this thing yesterday, a guy they got from Major League Baseball. And look, it all looks really great on paper. It's not going to work. But in the meantime, again, Tony has to play the game. Rick Barnes has to play the game. You think Rick Barnes, when they go to him and say, you can't get Nate and Matt, because this is all the money in your budget, you think he's just going to stand for that, Matt, after all these years?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I don't think Rick Barnes or Tony Vitello are going to have a problem.
Thank you.
Finding NIL money, whether it's
Thank you
on the table through this clearinghouse or not. I
Thank
think
you.
they'll figure out a way to make it happen.
Now, some of these people inside Tennessee's athletic department in particular are going to play nice with the AD, and some of them are going to say, hey, dude, you're not the one going to get fired. I'm the one going to get fired. And by the way, I don't sign up to lose. I never did, and I never will. So, because some people are saying, about this Arkansas thing, because Arkansas, there was an article written yesterday. It's been circulating around Tennessee. Look, here's the thing about Tony Vitello. You got to coach everybody once. Newsflash. The Texas A&M job is coming open. People whispering in my ear, you think A&M's going to go after him? I don't know. Hey, listen, if they're smart, they would. If the Arkansas job opens and they don't call him, they're crazy. I would. Matt, would you? If my job opened, I'd call him.
Yeah, I think he's the best coach in the sport.
Okay. I mean, he's not in Omaha this year, but I think he's the best coach in the sport, too. I'm going to get him on tomorrow. He's on tomorrow, first block. I'm patting him on the back. Rather than Kittrell, Capital Management World Championship Wednesday. He's still a world champion and is going to be a world champion. He built the world championship team last year, and this team, they did a nice job with what they have. People say, well, what about this thing, and he's not going to have as big a recruiting budget. And people say, well, he and Danny, ain't going to bother him. He's going to go right around those people. You got to be kidding me. And Rick Barnes is too. Rick Barnes is too. And by the way, the women's basketball coach is. These people are highly competitive people. They're highly competitive people. They're not going to be told, no, you can't do that now. Because we have these arbitrary, goofy rules, and we're going to try to put toothpaste back in a tube. All they're going to do is circumvent whatever those rules are. But the hard cap is 34. There's no getting around that. The hard cap is 85 with no walk-ons for football. The hard cap is 15 in basketball. You can't get around that. And no more walk-ons, which is somebody's brilliant idea. I don't know what that was about, but let's shut off access to the program. And I'll tell you who gets squeezed, Matt, in the 34. I was having a conversation. The people that get squeezed in this deal are the non-showcase baseball players. Those are the ones going to get squeezed in this deal. Because now when it's 34, I can't take a chance on, say, a Kirby Cannell. I can't take a chance on a Redmond Walsh. Those types of guys.
Hunter Ensley.
The Hunter Ensleys of the world. That's another one. The Evan Russells of the world. I got 34 spots. Now, I'm not saying that those guys won't make some of these rosters. They will, because they're going to show up and they're going to make but are they going to get invited in the first place? Like, if they cap that number at you're only allowed to start fall camp with, 45. I don't know what the number is. They don't know. See, I was told today we're trying to put a roster together in real time. Part of putting a roster together is they have like an A pile, a B pile, and a C pile. The A pile are guys I know are going to make my team. The B pile are guys that want an opportunity. Maybe you got a junior college player over here. He's not going to get drafted, but he wants to prove himself. And that's my B pile. My C pile are I got some guys around the state that are kind of interesting prospects. Let's get them in here. Let's look at them. Let's see if they can play. A bunch of those guys I just mentioned would gladly tell you they were in somebody's C pile one day, a long time ago. And the object here is to work yourself from the C pile to the A pile. I will remind you that Murray State last night, Murray State is going to play in the same College World Series with Arkansas that has a 13,000-seat stadium. And I believe they said Murray State Stadium is 900 people.
800.
And their head baseball coach is also their head groundskeeper.
Yeah. When's the last time Dave Van Horn mowed the grass of the baseball field?
It's a beautiful thing. But if you think about it, Matt's got a great thing about just the baseball we're talking about here. And we're not even into the Zakai Ziegler thing, where the NCAA, in their response, ripped the University of Tennessee. The courts are not going to look fondly on that. That judge is not going to want to get bullied by the NCAA. I don't know how that case is going to turn out. But in their filing that I looked at last night, the NCAA's filing, they called out UT. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you petition on behalf of this guy, which is in opposition to the recently ruled and recently decided House case. What a joke. You think Rick Barnes, Matt, cares about that damn House case when it comes to putting his roster together this year? And if that judge says go, and I'm proud of Rick Barnes, Danny White, and everybody. Because there are going to be times in this stuff where they're going to stand on the same side, and there are going to be times when they stand on opposition. I got news for you. The coaches are going to win. The coaches are going to figure out ways to get their players. They just are. And Greg Sankey can play as many rounds of golf with the president as he wants to play. He ain't changing that. They're not changing that. They can try and change it. They're not changing it. But this baseball thing is the first thing on our dial because it's the first thing up because they're trying to compile their roster for next year. And I asked the question this morning. I'm going to repeat this one more time. How many prospects can you bring in the fall to get the 34? And Matt, the answer was?
Nobody has any idea.
Matt, do you find that acceptable in mid-June when they've had months to the run-up to this thing that they're telling these baseball coaches we have no idea?
Of course. I mean, of course not. But I find it unacceptable that they have a 34-man roster cap on it as well. That seems, that's just not going to work. And the other aspect of and just from baseball perspective, and we can move on from that, not every school is going to be able to afford 34 full scholarships for baseball anyway. A lot of these low and mid-majors, they're not going to have 34 full scholarships given out anyway. So they're going to have to limit how they do that. They're still going to be limited to the 11.7 or whatever number they want to invest in. So it's not like everybody's just all of a sudden going to have all this full scholarships to give out for baseball.
The NCAA allegedly cares about these kids, as they were saying in their case their reply to the Marcos Garza. One of the arguments they have in the Zakai Ziegler case with Zach and Marcos and everybody is this. Well, it's about opportunity in the kids. If it's about opportunity, why are they going to squeeze out all these walk-ons who for years and years and years have made connections that they've gone on to start businesses with? And I mean like real businessmen, not like some of the fake businessmen we've heard about from the walk-on program and recent. I'm talking about real business people doing real business. And listen, we're just going to cut that out. Because we can have 20 less, so we can have 20 less people per year over 129 teams that are involved in these programs. But to Matt's point, you know what's going to happen at the lower levels now with this baseball's decision in 34? You just think about this for a second. It's also going to happen with football. Because those 20 kids that were going to walk on at UT at Alabama, they're going to play mid-major football now, and they're going to knock a bunch of kids out of scholarships. Now, they argued the exact opposite. They're arguing the exact opposite in the Zakai Ziegler case. So if it's really about that, okay, let's talk about opportunity. Let's talk about opportunity, shall we? They are a damn joke, and they always have been. And they are from the pit of hell, and they smell like smoke, in my humble opinion. But I digress. This thing here, this 34 scholarship thing, Matt, I asked one of the mid-major coaches we had on a couple weeks ago, how many of those guys are you guys going to absorb at your level? And you know the answer was from the Northern Kentucky coach? All of them. If you think we're turning down a player that can play, you're out of your mind. If a kid that's on Tennessee's radar picks a phone up and calls my boy Dizzy Payton and says, hey, do you have a spot for me? The answer is going to be yes, I do. And you know what's going to happen? There are going to be kids that are going to go home for Christmas break thinking they made some of these teams on these other schools. And guess what they're going to get when they come back from spring break, or winter break, rather? Opportunity. Opportunity. It's all about opportunity. No, it's not. Think about that, Matt. Think about what these mid-major coaches are going to do when a kid rings them up and says, hey, you have a spot for me over there at Western Kentucky? You got a spot for me? You think they're going to turn those players down, Matt?
Not if they can play, no.
What a joke. So, Tony's going to be on with us tomorrow, and why? And then I want to get to our topic of today. Tony's going to be on tomorrow because I want to congratulate him on the season we had. That he had, we had. Oh, you're in the bag for him. I give a guy an A. A to A plus for the season. A to A plus. So I'm going to ask you today, give me a letter grade for Tony Vols now that the season's complete. And then, Brian, let's set up today's show. Are you ready, Brian? Football 10-2 made the playoffs. We had from beginning to end, a sports season here unlike any other. And I want to shout some people out today on the air, and I want you to shout some people out because I'm going to ask you who some of your favorite athletes were that made this run so much fun for us. So much fun in all these sports. Football team, Brian, 10-2 made the playoffs. Amazing year for them. Basketball team, Elite Eight, matched the best record in school history. Women's basketball got beat in the Sweet 16 out of nowhere. Really, some people weren't even picking them to make the NCAA tournament. And then Kim Caldwell's backed that up with a terrific year recruiting. What else, Bri, do we have?
Well, the softball team made the Final Four in the College World Series in Oklahoma City, and baseball made it back to the Super Regional the year after winning it all, when most defending national champions, many of them don't even recently make the tournament the next year at all.
We come back, I want to hear from you. Football 10-2. Who were some heroes? Shout out some people that made it possible. Our men's basketball team this year, that Elite Eight finish, what a great year by them. They ran out of gas against Houston, who should have won the national championship but kind of got scared in the last 90 seconds of that one. Softball team goes all the way to the Final Four, and if it weren't for, well, I don't want to say it, but if it wasn't for that Oklahoma game, the kids really deserved to win the Oklahoma game, who eventually lost twice after that, which means they would have lost 3 times out there, which means, Brian, that was far from a vintage Oklahoma team. That was a very beatable Oklahoma team.
You don't get a chance to lose 3 times. You lose twice, you're done. So, but yeah, they easily could have.
Well, they lost to us.
Lost any of the games they played. They could have easily lost any of the games they played.
They lost to us, and then they went on and lost twice. They lost 3 times. That's my point. They were in that position 3 times, I guess is what I'm. And then the baseball team went to the Super Regional. So who are I want you to think back over the course of the year, the Chaz Laniers of the world, people like that, some of your favorite moments, now that that's in the rearview mirror. And can we expect a sports season in 25-26 that rivals this one? Because I don't. I mean, 2025-2026, it's not going to get much better than that, Brian. Making the playoffs in football, getting the Elite Eight in men's basketball, getting to the Sweet 16 in women's basketball out of nowhere. Softball team getting into the College World Series, and the baseball team getting the Super Regional round. That's pretty damn good sports year right here from us.
You'd also like to see somebody take a next step, get to that first Final Four, get back to Omaha. Softball, win your first natty.
All right, we'll kick it around. 865-200-5402 if you want to get in the hunting in the mix with us. Shout out Big R, Roger Williams, passing of his mother. Love you, R. God bless you, brother. We take a brief time out and continue with more. It is your Tony Basilio show. It is a Tuesday. Matt Dixon's in the house. He's back from Fayetteville and back in one piece. As we continue with more on the other side right after this.
Hey coaches, I'm Billy from Grade A Grounds. We help teams raise money with fresh roasted coffee that features your team's logo on every bag. It's easy to start and you keep 40% of all the purchases. Visit our website and let's get your team brewing today. gradeagrounds.com.
Life never stops moving, and between the 30-minute commutes, daycare pickups, weekly soccer practice, Tuesday night yoga, X number of coffee runs, and that weekend trip to Grandma's, you're racking up the miles. What you need is a tire that can keep up, a tire designed for doers, a tire that's going to last, like the exceptionally long-lasting Michelin Defender tire. With an 80,000-mile warranty and the safety and comfort you expect, you can forget all about the miles ahead and focus on getting to your destination or conquering your to-do list. Fleet Tire, I-275 exit 1B at East Woodland Avenue in Knoxville. That's Fleet Tire, I-275 exit 1B at East Woodland Avenue in Knoxville. Fleet Tire.
Jeff Hall here. I'm a partner at Rather & Kittrell Capital Management. And here at Rather & Kittrell, we understand that life is full of transitions. Since 2000, our team of dedicated certified financial planners has been helping individuals, families, and businesses navigate these changes with confidence. From comprehensive wealth management to tailored retirement plans, we're committed to guiding you toward a secure financial future. Ready to take the next step? Visit rkcapital.com or call us at 865-218-8400 to start your journey today. Rather & Kittrell is a registered investment advisor.
Summer officially starts this month, and the last thing you want during sweltering heat is a broken air conditioner or HVAC system. That means it's more important than ever to keep you and your family comfortable and safe before extreme Tennessee temperatures arrive. Don't ignore the warning signs that your AC is struggling or nearing the end of its lifespan. And if you need emergency HVAC repairs, routine preventative maintenance, or want to invest in a new system, then call the trusted HVAC experts at Pipe Wrench Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. This month, get up to a $1,000 discount when you buy and install a new air conditioner or HVAC system. We make it easy with free on-site estimates for replacements and free second opinions on repairs. And if budgets are tight, we offer flexible payment plans including 0% financing with credit approval. Be sure to ask about our 10-plus year warranties that are 2 times longer than industry standards, so you don't spend a cent on unexpected costs in the future. So call Pipe Wrench at 865-264-8090 or book online at pipewrench.com to schedule your appointment today.
Out-of-town law firms have been swarming into East Tennessee lately. From Memphis, Chattanooga, and Birmingham, they've stormed into the area. Wouldn't you rather do business with a local firm? You know, a true neighbor. Marcos Garza and the pros at the Garza Law Firm are just that. There are neighbors and friends that support local causes year-round. The Garza Law Firm works to serve you professionally on criminal matters, injuries and accident matters, and Social Security and disability filings. The Garza Law Firm is here for you at garzalaw.com. The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Are you stuck in a dead-end job or ready for a new challenge? Do you feel like it's time to try a new career? Well, it's time to change lanes with TLD Logistics. My friends at TLD Logistics have some really exciting opportunities for you to learn a new skill. With a new 5-acre driving academy that's now under new leadership with all new course material. And the best part, it's absolutely free. What a great deal to set you on the road to higher pay. And TLD Logistics even offers weekly stipends to offset food and gas expenses. In 6 weeks' time, you could complete this course and be in compliance with FMCSA regulations. Then you're ready for the open road of opportunity. What are you waiting for? It's time to change lanes with TLD Logistics. Visit TLDlogistics.com. That's TLDlogistics.com. TLD Logistics.
A lime is not always just a lime. You see, some limes are lucky. For when a lime joins the salted rim of a crisp, refreshing Tres Dos Equis, that lime is no longer a mere lime, but a wedge of renowned Mexican limón. Muchas gracias, limón. And also, de nada. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Copyright 2024 Dos Equis, imported by Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York.
Hi there, Basilio crew. Jennifer Morris here with Keller Williams Realty. If you're thinking about selling your home, I've got good news for you. The East Tennessee and Knoxville areas are projected to have another strong year. I'll be happy to talk with you about the latest and greatest info you need. So give me a call at 865-694-5904 or contact me at nextmovesmokymountains.com. Hope to hear from you soon and go Vols.
Josh Collins at Collins Insurance Agency. At Collins Insurance, we strive to ensure our customers receive better coverage along with bigger savings. Our community is important to us. We want to provide exceptional service to our customers. Anybody can provide great rates, great coverage, but can you also get great service? And hey, don't just take my word for it.
What's up, everybody? Zakai Ziegler here. My family turns to Collins Insurance Agency for the best service, coverage, and price.
So don't just go online and get some random insurance. Experience the Collins Insurance difference.
Like he said, experience the Collins Insurance difference. CollinsInsuranceTN.com. CollinsInsuranceTN.com. And hey, their Mama ZZ approved. CollinsInsuranceTN.com. Thank you to Josh Collins and ZZ.
One more thing, Tony. Go Vols!
Preparing food for a big gathering can really take it out of you. That's why you need to call Calhoun's and check out their selection of party platters. Whether you're hosting a party for the big game, a reunion, or just an everyday gathering, a Calhoun's party platter is next level. Choose from Calhoun's always excellent chicken tenders, fly with Calhoun's wings, or boneless wings with a variety of dipping sauces, award-winning next-level melt-in-your-mouth barbecue ribs, or delicious spinach artichoke dip, or get one of each. Plus, if you're doing burgers or sandwiches, Calhoun's has lots of side dishes like spinach Maria, baked cinnamon apples, Smoky Mountain baked beans, or creamy coleslaw. Available in pints, quarts, and gallons. And to finish things off, pick up one of Calhoun's great desserts to go, including homemade cheesecake or key lime pie. Calhoun's, simply your go-to party headquarters. With 9 locations all over East Tennessee, you can order online and just pick it up. Calhoun's, one of the Copper Cellar family of restaurants, along with Chesapeake's, Copper Cellar, Corner 16, Cherokee Grill, and Smoky Mountain Brewery. Eat local, eat good. And darn it, we're not going to be able to be live at Calhoun's on Friday because we're eliminated. We played Eliminate, and we got eliminated. Another name that we didn't talk about, with this 34 scholarship thing, which is going to be a total mess. But this Anson Siebert kid, who's a great pitcher, had the elbow issue this year. They shut him down. And he didn't pitch. And he figures in their rotation big time next year. Under this deal, on the 34, they would have had to carry him on their roster. Unless they're going to make exceptions for guys injured, and I haven't seen that anywhere. So this is real-world consequences when these suits get together and they start making, and a lot of these people have never coached these suits, and they start coming up with what they're going to come up with. A lot of these suits don't know what's what. But we'll go back to our phones. 865-200-5402 is the numero uno, numero dos. If you want to get in the hunt and in the mix with us on the TLD Logistics hotline. Shout out to my friends over at TLD Logistics who make America move. Let's go back to our phones and get our next call in. If you want to get in the hunt and in the mix with us. Brian Hartman, as you reflect back on your recently completed Tennessee volunteer journey from football and women's soccer in the fall, all the way through to men's and women's basketball, all the way through to the softball, the baseball, the golf, women and men, tennis, women and men, baseball, softball. Bri, who is your favorite athlete? Who you want to shout out today?
And hoping for a speedy recovery, Gerard McCoy, cornerback. Made a big interception against Bama. Had a couple other big plays like that this year that I think boosted the secondary production and made Willie Martinez probably look better than many people think he is. So I'm going to go with Gerard McCoy because that was a position of need, and he provided a spark that they badly had to have. And that's why their defense took the step it did and was so good, and Tennessee was able to make a college football playoff.
Jermod McCoy, one of the great names of all time. Transfer. You talk about hitting in the portal. And that's why it was mystifying to me they were so quiet in the portal this year, because they were so good in the portal last year. But to each his own, and to everything its own season. Matt Dixon, do you have anybody you'd like to shout out, or would you like to hold yours while we go to the phones?
I'll hold mine.
All right.
I'll hold mine.
On the TLD Logistics phone line, we now go to the phone lines. There's a list of 4 athletes that we've made here. My friends at Duluth Toish currently are holding the envelope. If you trip one of them, I will give you a gift card to our friends at Copper Cellar, and also a gift card to our friends at Alumni Hall. But let's, without further ado, go back to our phones, shall we? On the TLD Logistics phone lines, I would love to hear from you today. I love you. I appreciate you. Let's celebrate this recently completed Tennessee football season and shout out some people. A lot of great memories, a lot of great moments. I wish I could think of one. Let's go to the phones. At 865-200-5402. Hi, welcome in. You're on the air.
Hey, Tony, it's Denny.
Hey, Denny, welcome in.
Hey, I'm going to go with a out of left field. Sport that's not talked about often, but local kid Lance Simpson on Tennessee's golf team.
All right.
Will be playing in the U.S. Open this week.
All right.
With Brennan Webb on the bag.
Tennessee golf team playing in the U.S. Open this week. Wow, that's pretty heroic. Did he qualify through what sort of qualifier did he get through?
I mean, I'm not exactly sure what the whole qualifying process is, but he had to win several tournaments to get there. So not normal for a Tennessee golfer to make the U.S. Open. I can't remember the last one, so pretty big news.
Thank you. We give a shout out to Lance Simpson playing in the U.S. Open. Hey, Denny, as a follower of baseball, what do you think of this Hard 34 scholarship thing?
I mean, it sucks for the walk-ons. I mean, you've got kids that are, hey, you're a walk-on, you get to be with the team, you get all the gear, you get all the, you get all the training that, the nutrition stuff, and then, now that's taken away from them.
Yeah, none of this makes any sense to me, but the suits have to do something. Why they had to fool with baseball, I don't know. I guess the thought is I'm giving you 34. 34 is not going to be enough for these people. They're going to blow arms out, or like Matt said, they're going to have two-way players.
Oh, yeah.
Going to have two-way players. I mean, you might see, Matt, if they continue midweek games, Matt, which I don't know if they're going to continue midweek games under this format with the 34, Matt. It's very strange.
No, I was thinking that you're going to have some position players eating some innings.
You have to.
Yeah.
Danny, anything else?
Either way, you got to score some damn runs.
Anything else for us, Danny? As you
score some damn runs. Oh gosh, never
anything
forget that.
else for us, Danny? T to the B, back to the phones we go. 865-200-5402. If you want to get in the hunt and in the mix with us. So shout out Tennessee Golf there. That just shows you the depth of Tennessee's sports program right now. Lance Simpson from the Tennessee golf team playing in the U.S. Open this week up in suburban Pittsburgh. It's pretty amazing. Let's go back to our phones.
That's a good question. The last Tennessee golfer I guess Oliver Goss probably qualified for it when he was the low aim at the Masters that year.
Wow, Ollie Goss.
That's probably been 10 or so years ago, maybe more than that.
Shout out to the Ollie Goss. Let's go back to our phones if you want to get in the hunt and in the mix with us. Celebrating your favorite athletes. Bri gives a shout out to Jermon McCoy, who comes into this season injured, and a huge potential loss for Tennessee this year. I would say conservatively, if you were budgeting for his absence this year, I would say conservatively that Jermon McCoy will miss 60% of Tennessee's season this year. And, Matt, we're not doctors, but coming off that injury and the surgery, I'd say that's a fair estimation, right? If you get him for 40% of the year, you've done something.
Yeah. If he plays in half your games, and even then he'll be what? I mean, maybe 80% because that's one of those deals where it's the cutting and the quick twitch stuff is the last thing that comes from that. And obviously playing corner, that's a position that you're not running, straight line very often. So, yeah, if you can get him for the back half of the season at maybe 80%, that's probably a fair goal for him this year, which him at 80% is still pretty dang good.
Back to the bitty phones we go. Hello and welcome in. You're on the TLD Logistics Hotline. With all lines jammed, just keep trying. If you can't get through, we celebrate the sports season that just ended. Hello and welcome in.
Hey, guys. Rusty. I'm going with Keenan Peely.
Oh, I love him.
Love that kid.
God, I love him.
We were maybe the best teams in the country when he was the captain of that defense and leading things. And we weren't bad. We didn't become terrible without him, but when he was in charge, we were just nasty.
A real warrior, tough guy. Even more mystifying, the two guys we've mentioned come out of the portal. Rusty, I cannot figure out why they were not more active in adding players like him out of this portal. I don't understand it, but maybe I will one day.
I mean, Hughie mentioned it on Friday talking about LSU and how they went crazy, but he doesn't know that they got anybody of significance. I don't know that the portal had anybody of significance or anybody quality in it.
But would you have called McCoy and Peely of significance before?
I thought, I didn't know McCoy. Peely was 2 years ago. I didn't know what we were getting with Peely being an older guy and being at BYU. I thought McCoy was a stud. I thought McCoy at Oregon State, his true freshman year, was an absolute stud, and I was all about that kid. Didn't know he was going to be what he was, but I thought he would probably step on campus and be a starter and probably our best corner. Didn't know he might be the best corner in the SEC, but yeah.
Shout out Peely.
Your point's valid.
Yeah, it's just weird. I mean, it's just an odd, especially when you have the budget, which I know they have the budget. I watch these other sports. You have the budget.
Oh, yeah. I think it was more they didn't think there was anybody they wanted. They thought they had better stuff on campus than they did what was out there or coming in out of high school this year. I think they thought it was an odd year for players that put their name in. Top deal. And that schools were starting to spend money to keep guys on campus, I guess. But I had a question about the whole thing. So we're now capped. We're allowed 15 basketball scholarships. Nothing over that. Can't have walk-ons. 34 in baseball. Is that correct?
Yep.
And you can't have any walk-ons over top.
Yep.
And it's 85 in football still. I thought they were going to 100 in football scholarships and no walk-ons.
You might be right. It might be 100, which is down from 85 plus the walk-on program.
Right.
Which capped out where?
Walk-ons.
Where did it cap out? Was it 20 or 25?
Walk-ons you were allowed?
Yeah.
In football, I think it was. I don't know if there was even a cap. I think they had like 50 usually walk-on guys.
So that's all that opportunity, man. At that.
Yeah.
Oh
so
well.
Here, I think the reason they said no more walk-ons is they know there's going to be rich schools, if they would have kept it the old way, who will have 13 guys on basketball or scholarship, but then have 6 guys as walk-ons that they pay their tuition through NIL, and it'll hurt the lower programs who can't pay for guys to be walk-ons and just their school be paid for by NIL. I guess that's why they did it. Because you'd have Tennessee maybe with 20 guys on their basketball roster and only 13 on scholarship, but they're paying the rest. And then you got ETSU, who can't get 10 guys to come there anymore because they're all at the big schools being paid as walk-ons.
And then if you think about it, eventually the guys that are going to get squeezed are the kids that would be the marginal D1 to D2 guys who are going to end up in D2. And then the D2 athletes are going to end up in D3 where they're not getting any money at all. Eventually, somebody's going to be left holding the bag when you take away opportunities at the top, but they're telling us this is about opportunity, which doesn't make any sense.
It's upside down. Are we any closer on them does this, I mean, I know this doesn't really matter with things like eligibility in 5th years. Are we any closer on to some intelligent people possibly saying, hey, why don't we all get in a room with a representative that represents the athletes and a representative that represents the schools and maybe discuss signing a contract that, I don't know, it's called collective bargaining? Are we getting any closer to that?
I think the thing that tricks that is the first lawsuit that comes when they get in this clearinghouse and there is a denial because wealthy people are not going to let you sit there and say to them that they can't pay somebody in the United States of America in 2025 for anything. I mean, and this thing has zero chance of standing long term, but not until that happens, Rusty.
The judge the other day said something about Ziegler's thing. Can't remember exactly how he said it, but his wording on the initial thing to Ziegler's issue made it seem to me like some kid's going to challenge for a 6th year and it's going to get approved. Some kid's going to challenge for a 7th year and it's going to get approved, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He made it sound like you can't really stop these kids from being on these campuses if they're in good standing. I saw the tweet, I read it 10 times, and it just seems like we're going to have somebody go do a year past what Ziegler's asking for, or 10 years past that. So anyway, last thing, I'd love to hear everybody, you three, Dixie, Bronny, yours. I want to hear yeses or nos to a robo strike zone with a ding in a earpiece for the home plate umpire if it's in the zone, and no ding if it's out. He calls it in real time, but it just instantaneously tells him if it's a strike or a ball.
All right, thank you. Hey, around the room we go. Thank you, Rusty. Matt Dixon, robo strike zone, college baseball.
I've been against it, but I'm starting to lean more and more towards it with how egregious some of these strike zones have been in these postseason games. So I'm still probably against it, but I'm not going to argue if that came into play. I wouldn't be really upset about it.
Yeah, I hate replay, but I'm getting really worn down. The guy in the first game of the Tennessee-Arkansas series had an axe to grind with Tennessee from the very beginning, and I'm not Don from Sweetwater. Don from Sweetwater, shout out to you. I don't hate all umpires and referees, and I'm not a frustrated wrestling fan, and think that guy's got a foreign object in his hand and the ref's missing it. But how about you, Bry?
I think part of the intrigue is the strike zones seem to be different with each umpire, and figuring out and adjusting to what that strike zone is part of the strategy the pitchers have to sort of figure out. So, and even batters too. So I'll say no.
You know, Bry, on its face, I would agree with that, because I think that's a time-honored tradition of the game. And Matt, I want your input on this. The problem I have with college baseball is that I've watched a lot of games this year where these guys have strike zones that move. In other words, what's a ball or a strike in the first inning isn't what's a ball or a strike in the seventh inning. Now, I don't know. Do these guys is that just part of the fun, that we're just going to make our strike zone move as the game goes on? But, Matt, I've seen that way too much.
Yeah, you see the moving strike zones from, inning to inning, really sometimes from at bat to at bat. But no, I kind of lean like Brian. Brian put it a lot smarter than I did, about how that there's kind of a beauty in that, and the changing and umpires having different strike zones and catchers framing pitches. Like I kind of like that being part of the game. But when it gets so egregious, and the college game it's really bad in, it does make you lean towards the robo deal, because it affects games.
It's it makes it an awful product.
Who wins and loses.
I'll tell you what else it does, and Rusty brings a good point up. It makes these games interminable, because a lot of times strikeouts are walks. It's going to really help pitchers more than it helps batters if they go to this. I promise you that. Sorry, Chris Burke. I promise you it's going to help pitchers. Promise. Because these games take forever. So you'd have a set strike zone. No more keyhole strike zones. No more keyholes. What they did to Phillips the other night when they were squeezing him, no more squeezing of pitchers. It's the truth. And by the way, I didn't do it. Quoting Laura an hour ago. We come back on the other side. If you want to mix and hunt and mix with us, well, let's do this. I want to get some more calls in. Let me just do a quick legal here. We'll keep the hour moving.
WJBE 1040 AM 99.7 FM. Translator W259AB. Powell, Knoxville.
Keep the hour moving on a day where we celebrate Sly Stone. If you have a favorite Sly Stone tune and you want to shout that out, go for it. There are so many for me. So many. Formative years, man. Of the hits, give me Everyday People. Just an absolutely beautiful sentiment and song. But, that's a guy there. And what you didn't realize is he had a brother and a sister in a band. He had a cousin. He had Larry Graham of Graham Central Station playing bass for him. And what you didn't realize is that was a family. And he was so genius with what he did. He's one of those guys where they say within genius there's a shade of crazy. You're on the other side of that. And he, after he made all that great music in a short period of time, self-destructed throughout a large portion of his life, which is very sad. But that's what we see with a lot of artistic genius down through the ages. Hello and welcome into our next call. We're celebrating the recently completed Tennessee sports season by acknowledging the fact that football went 10-2. We've had 2 football players shouted out. The golf team is off and running, and Lance Simpson got shouted out from the golf team. The men's basketball team went to the Elite Eight. Nobody's mentioned a basketball player yet. The women's basketball team went to the Sweet 16. Nobody's mentioned a women's basketball player yet. The softball team went to the Final Four of the College World Series after fighting their way out of the loser's bracket, which is a really great accomplishment. And the baseball team just completed a super regional round. Tony Vitello is on with us tomorrow, or as some like to say in my neighborhood, Tony Vitello will be on. Shout out Jerry Colquitt. Will be on with us tomorrow. Let's go back to the phones. Hello and welcome in. You're on the air.
Hey, Tony, it's Nathan in Andersonville.
Hey, Nathan, good to talk to you.
Hey, I hate to keep the trend running with football, but my first thought was Will Brooks. I thought that he came into the season and, you were really, really nervous that we were starting a walk-on out at safety, and which is completely understandable, but had an amazing year. I mean, came up with very, very timely interceptions. I thought he was one of the only bright spots in that Ohio State game, making an interception there in the end zone and at least keeping another touchdown from getting on the board for him. And the interception at the end of the Alabama game, I thought he was a guy that really embodied giving his all for Tennessee. So I think he was definitely a noteworthy player of any sport for the 2024-2025 season.
Well, you know what? Since I'm a guy that likes to embarrass myself and punish myself, that's a winner. Matt Dixon, how bad and this is like asking somebody to wax poetically on the importance of the sun. But Matt, where would Will Brooks rank in terms of my bad takes? Me being the bad takesman that I am. Because Will Brooks is a total embarrassment on my part.
Yeah, it's probably a top 10 one. It's up there. It's pretty high up there. Maybe not at the, definitely in the top 10.
Nathan, why did you have to go and embarrass me, man, with your deal?
Man, I'm sorry, Tony. I'm sorry.
Stay right there. We're going to go ahead.
It's a really good nominee.
It's a great
I
nominee.
Named him, but it's a really, really good one.
It's
That's
a great one.
A good answer.
Because truly, Will Brooks is the best of us. That's a kid that we came here with Pruitt as a walk-on from Alabama, stayed in the program for years and years and years. I don't know if he ever thought he'd get that opportunity, but he got that opportunity. And back to Rusty's point, under today's college football, he's not on one of these rosters because there's no more walk-ons.
Well, and the reason I love him and guys like him, I mean, Hunter Inslee would be another one. Sorry to take that away from somebody if somebody's going to call in and say it, but, they're here because they want to be here, which I feel like is so rare today. He went through a coaching change and was not even on scholarship, but was just at the University of Tennessee, who's not even from Tennessee. He's from Birmingham, just because he wanted to be here because he loved the place. I just think that's so rare to find now. And I'm glad to see that a guy got rewarded for it. I think he at least made a free agent deal this past draft. Am I correct?
Yeah, and I wouldn't bet against a kid like that sticking on a team, playing special teams, and going out there and headhunting. Although the special teams thing isn't what it once was, but a kid like that you would want in your organization. And I'll tell you, he made some real splash plays, man, last year. And I was getting worn. Nathan, how worn out you think I was getting from combination of the Twidiots to just my friends that love to give me stuff. My phone was blowing
Bino
up.
was giving you down the road.
Oh, it was great. And I'll wear it, man. I wear that. I remember at the beach last year, I had to declare a moratorium on myself when we were beachside last year on how I wasn't allowed to say that name anymore.
Oh, man.
Yeah, right there. Yeah. Go ahead.
He had 4 interceptions, I believe.
Yes, and all loud. All of them loud.
Yeah.
All of them.
Big-time interceptions. A pick 6 in that NC State game.
Yes.
A big interception when Kentucky was putting a drive together in the Kentucky game. Like I said, the one against Alabama to seal the game and the one against Ohio State. I mean, when's the last time we had a defensive back have 4 interceptions in a season?
I'm sure the season before, right, Matt? Defensive back, got to be, right? That's got to happen frequently, I would hope.
I don't think it's that frequent. Four is a good. I feel like it's a good number for one guy.
Yes.
But anyway, well,
Stay right there, brother. Stay right there. Yes, stay right there. We'll get your information. 865-200-5402. Hello, welcome in. You're on the air.
Hey, Tony, it's Dave in Ackworth.
Dave, you're on the TLD Logistics hotline. Go right ahead, my man.
Well, I was going to say Will Brooks.
Really? A double winner. All right. Love on Will Brooks. Go ahead. Why?
It's a love on Will Brooks, and nothing's better than needling you in the process. Like, that's a 2-for-1 shot there.
Unlike Nathan in Anderson County, who's a winner, you can go literally, well.
So I'm going to switch to basketball, and it's going to be my favorite player and my favorite moment of the year is Meshack hitting the shot against Alabama. To me, I think is my favorite moment of the year. I think it was I can't think of a better single moment that any of the sports teams had this year that I can think of as far as just a big impactful moment. And Jamal Meshack is just, you talk about an embodiment of who you want in your program and who you want representing your program and what that kid sacrificed to do what he did and to love playing basketball so much that he was willing to literally ignore 1/2 of his game to get on the court and take such pride in defense. I was always so impressed with that.
One other thing I want to add, the kid got up the next day and shined the light on the hunger issues in our community. He used that moment in the sun to reflect on something else.
Yeah.
Hey.
True volunteer, buddy.
That's
True
incredible.
Volunteer spirit.
Kid from California, kid who worked on the front lines of the hunger issue there, did it here, an incredible athlete, a really, what they say, a great teammate behind the scenes. And that shot against Bama, when we were on that post-game show that day after the game, wow. Dave, what a great day, man. You're making me smile right now. You people are bringing back some great memories here.
And I tell you what's funny about that is what cracks me up about that whole thing is Barnes losing his mind because he didn't get the timeout called. Ziegler not even seeing the shot because he's trying to help Barnes get the timeout called. All the while that ball's going through the hoop. It's just, to me, it makes it even a greater moment. It's just so funny to think that while all that other stuff is going on, it's just fantastic. And to talk about the season, I mean, you think about it. I don't really understand. I understand we get waxed in Columbus, and I'm sitting there freezing my butt off watching the whole thing. So I understand the disappointment there. But our football team loses to the eventual national champion, and to be honest with you, they pretty much steamrolled that thing. So they didn't steamroll just us.
Yep.
They went the next week and steamrolled Oregon even worse than us.
See,
we were 11 points down in that game at halftime, Tony, and getting the ball coming out of the second half.
Yep.
What was Oregon at halftime? That game was over.
They smoked everybody. That's such a great point. Guys, why is that? Why don't our fans acknowledge the fact that everybody got run over by that Ohio State team? Like everybody that got in their way, Bri. I wonder why our fans don't acknowledge that. They just talk about how we got smoked in the playoffs. Are you think we're that myopic, Bri?
I just believe that when your season is over before Christmas, it was just a strange feeling. Well, and anytime you get run out like that, especially when you're going up there thinking, well, we're going to win the game because of what happened against Michigan, what they did against Michigan, I think it sort of made the expectation maybe too high.
Dave, you think some of our fans
there was a letdown? You think
You think some of our fans, like Bri, would rather play in a bowl game and win the bowl game than having been in the playoff game so they could have played after Christmas Day?
Well, here's what I'll say to that.
Yeah.
Looking back on everything,
Yeah.
how much of an overachievement was that for us to get to the playoffs when Alabama's sitting at home and other teams are sitting at home that Florida, two of our three biggest rivals are sitting at home, and that football team who really underperformed offensively all year long got in the playoffs? Are you kidding? With what we can now admit, now that we get the blinders off and we have it's time to open up the truth serum. We had a middling quarterback, a middling offense.
Yeah, he couldn't play.
And that team goes to the playoffs in the first year of an expanded playoff.
Yeah,
loses to the national champion. Are you kidding? I mean, and think about basketball. Mm-hmm. We smoked the national championship winner in basketball during the regular season, lose to the runner-up. Baseball, I have a feeling there's a good chance we're going to end up having lost to the national champion in baseball. The women's basketball team. Who was the last team to beat the national championship team from the women's basketball this year? Who was the last team to beat UConn? Oh yeah, that was Tennessee. I mean, softball. Who'd we lose? Who won the national championship? Texas. We went to Texas and took 2 out of 3 from them in softball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you talk about programs that, what do we want every year, Tony? We want competition. We want to be able to compete for championships.
I love it.
You've got it in spades this year. It's unbelievable.
And I don't want to put all my eggs in football's basket. I'm sorry.
No.
I know that is a sacrilegious thing, and some people, let's be like Georgia. I don't want to be like Georgia. I want to have a full athletic department. Compete in everything, man.
Tony, there's nothing sacrilegious about it. We always had a strong basketball program, support and following. There's nothing sacrilegious about it. It's what we should be. And there's no reason why you can't be good in everything, and this year proved it. And if and I think you've got an athletic director and an administration over there that demands this from their programs and won't put up with anything less. And to me, that's the difference than previous regimes. Is there was always blinders in previous regimes on athletic with certain programs. Not always just football, but we've already talked about Dave Hart in the women's programs.
Oh my gosh, Dave Hart's War on Women. What a clown he was.
Yeah. And so you can go on and on and on. I mean, this is the first program, I think this is the first administration we've had from top to bottom that wants everybody, that expects everybody to do well and is willing to do what it takes to get there. And I mean, think about rowing. Women's rowing.
Oh!
We joined that whole deal, 4 or 5 years ago, and we're top 5 of the nation in the last 2 years.
Oh!
I mean, who would have thought that in a million years? Hell, I'm waiting for a lacrosse team to show up and we start dominating that sport. I mean, it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen, Tony. Hey, I appreciate you guys. I'll let you go.
You put on that orange uniform and it's like you get magical powers. Kind of like me. When I go over to VIP play, same kind of thing happens. Like last week, my parlay was so close to hitting last week, guys. If only Florida State. All that had to happen was Florida State closes out that first game. I learned a lesson. You don't play with Florida State in the tournament. You got the rest of the field. You don't play with them. Brian wrote this today in the blog over at tclub.team in his great report. You know when they're going to win in this time of the year in baseball? Let me help you out. N to the E to the V. Give me an E. And Vanna, give me an R. And that spells never. You talk about something not meant to be. When they left that closer in for 45 pitches and blew the first leg of my parlay, that wasn't over because they could have gotten through the weekend, but that was some of the dumbest nonsense I've ever seen in my life. I mean, what in the world? No, not even a mound visit. Hey, I don't want to be bothered. Link Jarrett, I look good in my uniform over. I want to be bothered. It's on you, not me. And then the second leg of that, and then Brian, what was the second leg? Because the Vols were the third leg. The Vols were the kicker.
I think wasn't it North Carolina, Arizona?
What in the world? North Carolina wins 20-2 on Friday night, and they
outscored them by 13 runs. They outscored them by 2 touchdowns worth of runs and still got sent home.
I mean, what in the world? That Arizona bunch is in the College World Series that we saw, and we thought, you know what? We thought about them back in February. Hey, it's a pretty good little baseball team they have. So we kind of thought, pretty good little team. They win some games in our league. I should have won. But you can win over at VIP Play, where you go claim your welcome bonus right now. You make your first bet of $5 or more. It's $100 in bonus bets instantly. The promo code is TNTony. You will put TNTony in the promo code line, and you will get your $100 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Remember, they've got a specials live in specials tab for Tennessee and Titan football. Week 1 NFL lines. College futures are there. So get ready for the upcoming season. 10% profit boost on any NFL Week 1 game. Play the Eagles to cover against the Cowgirls. And yes, the Revolution will be televised. Also, players will receive daily profit boost, 25% Major League Parlay profit boost on 3 picks or more. NBA playoffs, no danger wager, 50% on your stake back in bonus bet if your wager loses, 20% back on the NCAA baseball tournament profit boost on bets 3 picks or more. Live always with 200-plus leagues. VIP Play, where everybody gets treated like a VIP. And I will go back to the phones without further ado. And we'll get our next call in as we're celebrating the 24-25 season. And it's fun. It's fun to look back. Matt, these folks have come up with some pretty good stuff so far, haven't they? Some things I didn't think about.
Yeah, some really good ones, and that's kind of the beauty of it is there's a whole lot of options to choose from, and there's no real wrong answer. We were really blessed this year with our Tennessee sports.
Tony Vols joins tomorrow, by the way, off the top. And look, I know that wasn't the season we were used to, and they were on everybody's dial, and we're going to win it again, and we're 20-1, and it's going to be a cakewalk, or 20-0 rather, and we just was our exclamation point, our peak moment, guys, beating Texas A&M, or am I imagining that on that Friday night?
Well, in the regular season, it sure was either that or. Obviously, the Monday versus Wake Forest was kind of that's really where your season kind of ended, if we want to look at it that way.
They never were the same team after that A&M run roll game because the next day they had a doubleheader. They came out and got shelled twice and never seemed to get it back.
No. And what's weird is what's weird about that, guys, is you had your Zenith on Friday night, and then that Saturday, that the team with the off switch showed up, Matt, and it was very strange how that team made several reappearances, and even in their own building. Really odd season. Really strange year. Back to the phones we go. So Tony Vols tomorrow off the top. Also going to break it down scientifically with none other than Watson Brown. Murray State making the College World Series. How many 4s are in it now, guys, of the final 8 teams left? How many 4 seeds?
That's the only one, I think.
I think they're the 4th 4 seed that's made it under this format.
There's a 3 and a 2.
How many 3s are in it?
Arizona's 1. They're a 3. And then Louisville's the 2. Regional seed.
A 3 and a 2. And then the rest of them are 1s?
And all the rest of them are national seeds. We're top 16.
Interesting. Back to the phones we go. Hello and welcome in. You're on the air.
Hello. Hey, Tony, how are you doing?
Doing great today. Thank you for calling.
Before I pick my player a moment, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Did you hear A.J. McCarron's story on his podcast recently about being recruited by Tennessee when he was in high school and his Jeremy Pruitt story?
I did not, though. I love A.J. McCarron. He's fun. What'd he say?
Well, evidently he was getting down close to signing day, and Nick Saban knew that he was being recruited by other schools, so he sent Jeremy Pruitt down and told Pruitt to sit outside of his house and make sure none of the other coaches come around. So Pruitt went down and sat in front of his house for 2 days to make sure none of the other coaches come around. Well, in the meantime, Lane Kiffin was the coach at UT, and AJ said he was in bed and he heard a peck on the window, and when he looked outside, it was Lane Kiffin and Lance Thompson and the offensive coaching staff from Tennessee. And said they wanted to come in, so he come in and met with them for like 30 or 45 minutes. When they left, Nick Saban called, and he told them that, he had just met with Lane Kiffin. And Saban said, "What do you mean?" Said, "I've had Pruitt sitting outside for 2 days." Said, "Let me call him." So he called him, and Pruitt went to the door and knocked on the door, and the little lady answered the door, and he was at the wrong house.
Matt, are you for that or against that story?
I'm always for every Pruitt story.
Pruitt was guarding somebody else's house. He was at the wrong address. That might be very plausible.
Yeah.
What a great story.
Said he knocked on the door and asked, "Is?"
Wow, what a great story. That is an incredible story. Wow.
Yeah, he told that on his whatever podcast that he has.
That's fun.
I thought you'd get a kick out of it. I could just see,
That is so fun. My gosh, that's fun. Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, my player or for the year is my favorite basketball player. I love Jordan Gainey. Coming off the bench, he could have started at almost any other school in the country.
If this ZZ thing goes through, you'll see Jordan Gainey, and we're going to find out something in the next, I would think, 24 to 36 to 48. At least that's the expectation. But you're going to see Jordan Gainey in a Tennessee basketball uniform again next year. Matt, Jordan Gainey exploded last year.
Oh, yeah, and he could – I think he's an all-SEC guy if he were to come back with how much bigger and more mature he'd be than basically everybody else on the court that would be guarding him. I think he could have a real impact and be an all-SEC and kind of fringe All-American type.
I think he turned into a borderline all-SEC type player at the end of the year last year. That was the level he was playing at. So they do not get to the Elite Eight without him. Absolutely do not. Back to our phones we go. The guy's got some dog in him, man. And he got bigger. And that was a lot of fun to watch him. Because first year it looked like, oh, geez, this guy's just not going to make the transition from a lower level. And that's okay. Sometimes you see people, we've had transfers here who came in, that Anasicki guy. There was a whole slew of those dudes. In fact, we used to call them Rick Barnes transfers. Boy, did they change the narrative, Matt, the last couple seasons on the concept of the Rick Barnes transfer, didn't they? Now it means something else. Now it means something else entirely.
Yeah. Got some dagger shooters. And Connect could do more than shoot. Connect could do everything. He was a better transfer gets in college basketball.
Who were some guys of the goofy transfers? I got one. Lou Evans was one of them. God bless Lou, we love Lou. I mentioned the Anasicki guy. Bri, who else comes to mind?
You had those two guards that played Darrington.
God.
That played on that one team, I think, and there was another kid that played Daniel. Was his last name?
D&D.
Something Daniels.
D&D. I think I'd rather play Dungeons and Dragons, which I would never play. Let's go back to our phones. Matt, are you ready to reveal? Nope. Matt's not ready to reveal his. Let's go back to the phones and get our next call in as we celebrate the recently completed 24-25 calendar year, which brought us a playoff in football, which brought us a men's basketball Elite Eight, which brought us a women's basketball Sweet 16 out of nowhere, which brought us a women's softball Final Four, a baseball super regional round finish, and there you go. I don't think an athletic department across the country had a year like that. That robust, that rich. And then we even have a golfer playing in the U.S. Open, ladies and gentlemen, as shouted out by Denny earlier in the show. Hello and welcome in. You're on the air.
Hey, y'all. How's everybody doing?
Doing great. How you doing?
Hey, this is Leslie. I hadn't called in a while.
Hey, Leslie.
But I tried a few times, but it's all right. It's good. Like Greg in Columbia, my neighbor, said, y'all are the show that we all listen to.
You're sweet.
But,
you know we love you, Leslie.
Well, thank you. I mean, I've been listening I was thinking about that when he was talking. I've been listening for, I want to say maybe 7 or 8 years, but I mean, I didn't call in for several years, but
that's a lot of killed brain cells. Hey, Leslie, that's a lot of killed brain cells on your part.
Well, it was usually driving back to Middle Tennessee. I mean, it's not. I know people there are probably like, "What is he talking about? Getting people back home?" But it's true. I mean, for some of us, it's 4 or 5 hours with the traffic, so we appreciate it.
And Leslie, speaking of our post-game shows after football, basketball, and a bunch of baseball games, when we try and stay on, like after the football playoff game, we were on till 5:30 a.m. Eastern time. That is not a joke. That is for real. People think I'm speaking out of turn. That is for real.
Well, and we drove back after that game, so we were listening. We hit the road and headed back to the great state of Tennessee. I wanted to get out of that place. But anyway, hey, most of mine have been picked, but I did write down several. And, I mean, I don't want to hash it out, but, I mean, Will Brooks was the first one that came to my mind. And seeing his interception in living color in Charlotte and the way he reacted is what it, for me. Like, that kid is all Tennessee. I mean, living, breathing, bleeding orange. So, and then I was going to mention Jordan Gainey too, and someone just did. So another one I thought of that I don't know if she's been mentioned, but Tess Darby, Lady Vols basketball.
I love Tess Darby, man. Tess Darby is next level, dude. I'm so glad somebody shouted her out. And who was your first one? Because I was away getting drinks at our refrigerator.
Okay, my first was Will Brooks. I was just saying I had him too. Seeing his interception in Charlotte in living color and the way he reacted and his teammates. Because, you don't get to see all of that on TV, but they were, the whole team was surrounding him and just so excited. So that says a lot, too, to me about the state of the program when all of his teammates are as excited as he is.
They
or maybe
mobbed
more
him.
Excited.
Two things happened, right? When he brought that ball back against NC State, they mobbed him, okay? And Matt Dixon just blasted me in a text. Matt called me every name in the book when that happened.
Yeah.
So thank you, Matt.
And I didn't agree with your take either. Before the season started, I thought he was gonna have a breakout, but you didn't know, and you've owned it, so that's all you can do, right?
No, that's right. But, hey, when you're wrong as much as I am, you better own it.
Hey, we've all been there, Tony. But about Tess, I mean, to me, we went to several games, and she wasn't the fastest, right? But to me, it was so obvious that she put in the work, and being a senior, just. I don't know. She could have just said, you know what, I'm out of here. This lady's nuts. We can't run like that. But Tess put in the work, and it showed on the court. And I just love, she's homegrown, West Tennessee. That's where my roots are. Salt of the earth family, and I will never not love the homegrown kids who come in with way more heart than maybe talent, but then they turn that into being stars on the court or on the field. And so I love her, and I think she's a VFL legend in my book and maybe some other books. And so I wanted to shout her out.
Hey, Leslie, do me a favor because you have my email address. I want to see the rest of your list. Email that to me because I might put it in the blog under Leslie's favorites.
Oh, okay, sure. I can do that.
Do that because I'm going to run it tomorrow. Because this is a fun thing. We need to celebrate the year we had leading up to Tony Vitello's appearance on here tomorrow. I'm going to congratulate the guy like he won a World Series, because I think they performed heroically. I don't fault them for falling short.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I think the Lady Vols performed heroically. You don't have to win it all to perform heroically. The Lady Vols got everything out of their roster this year.
Hey, Tony, on the Lady Vol softball, I know this is not it, but I mean, I don't get the hate by some of the other fan bases toward our pitcher. I thought she acted very humble, and I mean, she's got fight in her, but she's a D1 athlete, super talented, and I think, I know this is a little lot, but I think there's a lot of hate toward our fan base, and then it spills over to our athletes, which I really hate that, because she's not on Twitter acting like a twidiots, so why are you projecting that onto her?
Leslie calling out the twidiots. I love it.
But I mean, I got off of it, Tony. I
it's
just
toxic.
Couldn't deal with it. But
it's toxic.
But they project that onto our athletes, and that really rubs me the wrong way. And the media does it too. I mean, like this baseball team this year, why are people projecting onto them for what a few kids on the 22 team
That's
did?
Exactly
That's not right. And, Liam Doyle didn't do anything on the mound that other kid didn't do. What was his name? Root? Which, you know what? I didn't have a problem. I mean, he was like, I got you. I mean, they're athletes.
They're going to fight. They're like you and me. Like when we've fought in emails before. Hey, listen, I got news for you. People that are competitive are going to fight. People that have a little spirit about them are going to fight. And people that have spirit and are competitive understand that person over there wants to fight just like I want to fight. And by the way, I want people around me that have a little fight to them. There's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, one of the reasons I have to get up and walk the concourse in basketball and football games is because I'm 5'0" and I want to fight fans who start going off on our athletes.
You're half crazy. I love you. Hey, listen, I love you. Thanks.
I mean, I do.
Hey, my best to Charlie.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Peace. Always good to hear from Leslie. Send me your list. I want to read your list. I'll put it in there tomorrow. I'm not kidding. 865-200, Leslie's list. Might be the beginning of something. That Leslie's list, that sounds like a good name for a website. You could make a lot of money with that. We come back on the other side. We are way overdue and I mean way overdue.
Guests appear on the TLD Logistics Hotline. Online at tldlogistics.com.
Whether it's baseball, football, softball, church groups, or schools, if you're raising money, do it with locally roasted grade A grounds coffee. I'm Billy Miller, a Vol alum and Knoxville native. You keep 40% of sales, and we donate 5% back to our East Tennessee community. Get started today by visiting our website at gradeagrounds.com.
If you haven't been to the brand new Covenant Health Park yet, what are you waiting for? There's so many incredible promotions still to come. First, you asked for it, so you got it. All You Can Eat Wednesdays is back. And how about Thirsty Thursdays with half-off draft beers? Or maybe Smokey's Version Night, 4th of July, Pete the Cat Day, or Christmas in July. Check out all the great upcoming promotions at smokiesbaseball.com and grab your tickets now.
Hi, I'm Jim Simpson, owner of Simpson Meats. When's the last time you grilled a really good burger or steak? One your friends still talk about. Our goal at Simpson Meats is to make that happen every time you have a cookout. All of our cuts of meats, steaks, burgers, briskets, and pork are always fresh, flavorful, and sustainably sourced. We are family owned, so we know the importance of knowing how and where your food is raised. We have been putting quality first since 1888. Visit our butcher shop off Lovell Road or online at simpsonmeats.com.
Peace of mind is priceless, especially when it comes to your home safety and your family's comfort. That's why the pros at Pipe Wrench Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling created the Peace of Mind Maintenance Plan. Preventative maintenance for HVAC and plumbing is like changing your vehicle's oil, and experts recommend scheduling regular system checks to keep everything running smoothly. With Peace of Mind, you can safeguard your home from unexpected costly breakdowns and repairs. You'll get tons of benefits, including full system checks on HVAC and plumbing systems, water heater flushes, sewer camera inspection, 10% automatic discount on repairs, priority bookings, no service fees, and much more. Monthly service plans are as low as $20.25 per month, and total annual services are valued at over $1,500. Call Pipe Wrench at 865-264-8090 or book online at pipewrench.com to sign up or schedule your appointment today. And as always, same-day service guaranteed or the visit is free.
Life never stops moving, and between the 30-minute commutes, daycare pickups, weekly soccer practice, Tuesday night yoga, X number of coffee runs, and that weekend trip to Grandma's, you're racking up the miles. What you need is a tire that can keep up, a tire designed for doers, a tire that's going to last, like the exceptionally long-lasting Michelin Defender tire. With an 80,000-mile warranty and the safety and comfort you expect, you can forget all about the miles ahead and focus on getting your destination or conquering your to-do list. Fleet Tire, I-275 exit 1B at East Woodland Avenue in Knoxville. That's Fleet Tire, I-275 exit 1B at East Woodland Avenue in Knoxville. Fleet Tire. Basilio here for Budget Transmissions. TGMD, the great Matt Dixon, took his Ford Escape to budget, and like our gold bullet back in the day, it was a total mess. And now, Matt's back in the game. He's got a new transmission, axle, wheel bearing, both radiator hoses, engine mounts, coolant hoses. I mean, his Ford Escape was about to escape to the junkyard, but he didn't begrudge it. He took it to budget, and now he's on his way back to Omaha. Budget Transmissions, over 30 years in business, conveniently located in Bearden. All extended service contracts are honored. A gold certified Repair Pal member. 865-584-4391. 865-584-4391. Budget Transmissions. Don't begrudge it. Take it to budget.
Hi there, Basilio crew. Jennifer Morris here with Keller Williams Realty. If you're thinking about selling your home, I've got good news for you. The East Tennessee and Knoxville areas are projected to have another strong year. I'll be happy to talk with you about the latest and greatest info you need, so give me a call at 865-694-5904 or contact me at nextmovesmokymountains.com. Hope to hear from you soon, and go Vols.
Tony B here with the great Zakai Ziegler for
Hey,
Advent.
whoa. Tony, I got this. Hey, Tennessee, it's Easy here. Next time you have an electric issue at your home or business, call my friends at Advent Electric. With offices in Knoxville and Nashville, it's Mama's Easy approved.
You heard it from the most electrifying player in the league. Call the service professionals at Advent Electric, 865-588-0631. Online, adventelectric.com. Tell them ZZ sent you. K to the B back with you, 865-200-5402. Back to our phones we go. Hi, welcome in. You're on the air.
Hey, Tony, it's Orange Blood down here in Paris, just south of Murray.
I love Paris. I love that little Eiffel Tower down there. That's a beautiful little community of Paris.
Yeah, pretty nice here. Just had Lone Star in town for our little summer concert.
Oh, that's
series
cool,
thing.
man. I love me some old Lone Star. That's next level
yeah.
right there.
Yeah. Hey, an earlier call, you're talking about how you're celebrating Tennessee's success. What's when's the new Directors Cup rankings come out? I wonder where we're going to end up with that.
I don't know. The thing that really screws up that Directors Cup stuff is a lot of the sports at the West Coast schools, the Stanfords of the world, really excel in. Matt, any idea? That's got to be soon, right?
That's but Tennessee will I would be shocked if they're not in the top 10 or maybe even top 5 of that thing.
Yeah,
because it did so well.
Yeah, he said W. Lynn probably keeps up with it. So shout out W. Lynn. Give us the updated standings on the Directors Cup.
Yeah, I think I looked it up the other day. I was thinking about it. Stanford's just rattled off like 2 decades or more worth of.
Yeah, because they have archery and I mean, no offense to those sports, like the aqua sports. What is it? Water polo is one of them. So many like goofy sports, fencing,
maybe
and
tennis, or I don't know.
Yeah, and they're good at them,
Yeah. Just curious about that.
Yep.
I got a question, kind of NIL 101 for me.
Yeah.
These dummies over here, they don't read every article, but here's what I've been trying to explain to people, and help me if I'm wrong. Who exactly pays the players? Is it the university or third parties like Spire?
It's both. Under the new agreement, the teams that opt in are going to have a rev share of $20 million, so a figure close to that. And so whatever the final figure they arrive on, depending on the year, but the rev share figure right now, I believe, is right at $20 million, something like that. So each athletic department will decide from there what percentage that football is going to get, what percentage that basketball is going to get, what percentage women's basketball, what percentage baseball. Then they go to those coaches. They say, this is how much money you have to work with. This is available funds that we have for you for said athlete. Then they go to collectives and they augment their offer toward these players. So let's say out of one till for this quarterback over here, we have $1 million from the school itself. From over here, from this till, we're able to budget $1.5 million. What the clearinghouse has come in and said now is the $1 million that's given from the school, that's his. The $1.5 million or $2 million over here that you've offered this prospective athlete now has to be justified to the clearinghouse and has to be a fair market value. And what they're saying is, if you pay more than fair market value, we're going to ding that, and we're going to say that that is not a valid offer. They told the ACC schools, did this Deloitte people, when they went and spoke before the coaches at a recent meeting, sort of like the Destin meetings, but it was 6 weeks or so ago when the ACC had their meetings. 75% of your deals last year that you made with kids would be struck down by us. Now, let me ask you this in Paris, okay? Because I'm just a simpleton over here doing a radio show. Do you think that's ever going to fly?
No, this whole thing is DOA, as far as I'm concerned.
Correct.
It's until they get a collective bargaining type situation. It's going to go right back to the courts of how can you dictate how much somebody can make. I mean,
that's right.
Essentially, are they, since they're getting money from the university, would they, in Tennessee's case, or Alabama, or state university, are they state employees or independent contractors? How are they listed on their W-2s?
No, they keep them, and that's the whole thing. They want to keep these kids at arm's length. I guess they're independent contractors. I don't know in terms of the tax implications. I would imagine they're independent contractors without pensions, without insurance and all that stuff. That's my guess.
Yeah. So this deal, like I said, I think it's going to be DOA once the lawsuits start flying. But let's just say right now it takes effect July 1st. Are they going to make this retroactive to the deals we've already negotiated, like with Aguilar and whoever else?
No, the new deal went into effect Saturday or Friday at midnight because it passed Friday. So Friday midnight, any business that was done up till Friday midnight was fine. Now you're under a new dispensation as far as college football is concerned. So what you're about to see is several of these kids that commit going forward are now going to be under the yoke of trying to get through this clearinghouse. And if the clearinghouse bites back as they say they have, then you're going to see these billionaires and these millionaires through these collectives end up in court. One loophole that they've put out there is that deals that come through publicly traded companies will not be will not be under scrutiny by them. I've heard that there are NILs that are looking at becoming publicly traded companies. In
That's
light of that.
interesting.
Yeah, issuing
So-
IPOs.
Does Tennessee have a general manager?
Yes,
For
internally
athletics?
they do, yes.
Do we know who that is?
Yeah, it's Billy High.
Okay. So I like the idea of having a cap if it's done in a way that's fair for earning and not interrupting with somebody earning. But I think that will hopefully litigate a little bit of this jumping ship. You know, I'm second string. I think I'm worth another $500,000. I'm going to jump ship and go somewhere. Well, now these teams' budgets are so cinched up tight. Unless it's somebody like Ohio State who they may throw 80% of their budget into football and not care about basketball or anything. I don't know, but you know that might cut down on that a little bit.
You know what though?
Go back to making recruiting more important.
Here's the tricky thing, and it's interesting you mentioned going back to recruiting and it being more important, and I appreciate the call. What's going to happen is illegal money under the table. The NCAA still can't get your tax returns. I enter into an agreement with an athlete. I'm paying you $1 million under the table. You're still going to report that on your taxes. I said the other day that they're going to run these families into a risk of, violating federal law. Thinking about that, I had somebody take me under wing the other day who heard me say that and said, Tony, actually, the families are going to declare this money. But the NCAA is not going to know about it. You know why? Because they have subpoena power. Think about it. They never had subpoena power. It's all a mess. And the whole thing is a damn disgrace. And they need to just admit what they're doing here, but they won't for some reason. Greg Sankey, and they're greedy. They don't want these people. They want to give them a little sliver of their television revenue. Listen, the schools are so greedy that they're getting ready to get into bed with private equity on the building side. Private equity is going to own these universities before it's over. Penn State and UCLA denied that yesterday. Listen, these people are P-I-G pigs. That's what they are. That's why we're in this spot. And they're pigs. And by the way, I didn't do it. We've been saying it for years. This was coming. I used to say 20 years ago, there's going to be a day when Ohio State and Michigan, Alabama and Auburn, LSU and Auburn, Miami and Notre Dame, you're going to turn the TV on and a team's not going to come out of the tunnel. I don't know that they've addressed this to the point where a team still might not come out of the tunnel. Because until you give these people what's rightfully theirs, which is to say a fair share of this largesse, hey, the old saying is, pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. What is the old saying, guys? I got that right, or is it another? There's an axiom? Is it hogs get fat, Brian? Pigs get slaughtered, or is it pigs?
I think pigs get fat. Hogs get fat, pigs get slaughtered.
And pigs get slaughtered.
I think, yeah.
Is that what it is? Matt,
I think that's what it is.
Matt, do you know that old axiom that I'm aiming for here? Because I've been known to confuse an axiom.
I'm not sure it whatever you said first sounded right. I just wish the Hogs had gotten slaughtered this weekend in Fayetteville.
That's my boy right there. Hey, listen, I was so bad with the clock earlier because some of you just got me going. Let me do one more, and then I'll get some more calls. And we'll do a TLD Logistics Overdrive overtime as well. The great Matt Dixon drove back. How long was the drive yesterday, Matt?
About 11 hours.
Letter grade scenic beauty of Arkansas, Matt Dixon.
Northwest Arkansas is pretty good. The rest of it, not so much.
So we'll give it a C- as we continue on the other side after this.
It's the hottest postgame show on the planet. Garza Law, fifth quarter fan reaction. Fan reaction. As soon as the final gun sounds, we're live.
Tony Basilio, and we are live once again with Chad Stockton of FC Alliance. And Chad, you're out there on the field, 100 strong here in Knoxville. Talk to me. What's been going on with FC Alliance now that the weather's heating up?
We're out here for the first night of the boys' tryouts. We have over 400 kids that'll be here tonight. So a lot of exciting times right now for us. Our club team start at U9 and we go all the way through U19. We have over 1,000 kids that come from Chattanooga from the Tri-Cities that make all our teams and make this club what it is today. So we're excited about it. We finished the younger kids a couple of weeks ago. We just finished the girls last night, and now we're on to our older boys program as we speak right now.
And we're blowing and going in the Tri-Cities. Tell me about it.
We started FC Alliance North 1 year ago, and coming off the first year, we are the largest, most competitive club up in the Tri-Cities area. We just finished our tryouts last night. Looks like right now we will be well over 400 kids for the upcoming season. So great things happening up there. We've put our boys into some really good regional leagues. So we're excited about what the future holds for them and also our girls programs.
If you want more information, check them out at fcallianceknox.org. That's fcallianceknox.org. Chad Stockton, keep growing the beautiful game here in East Tennessee.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tony.
Hi, I'm Jim Simpson, owner of Simpson Meats. When's the last time you grilled a really good burger or steak? One your friends still talk about. Our goal at Simpson Meats is to make that happen every time you have a cookout. All of our cuts of meats, steaks, burgers, briskets, and pork are always fresh, flavorful, and sustainably sourced. We are family owned, so we know the importance of knowing how and where your food is raised. We have been putting quality first since 1888. Visit our butcher shop off Lovell Road or online at simpsonmeats.com.
Listen up, baseball fans. It's time to step up to the plate and get some new Tennessee gear from Alumni Hall. Don't you dare swing and miss by shopping elsewhere. Alumni Hall has the best selection, top brands for you to choose from. Shop in store, 3 Knoxville locations, or Bristol or Murfreesboro. Anytime online, anywhere in the world at alumnihall.com. Come grab your Tennessee baseball jerseys. Incredible. Oh, Coach Vitello jersey, hats, decals, t-shirts, and so much more. Earn $10 in rewards for every $150 spent. Shop Alumni Hall, your ultimate Tennessee shopping destination. Go Vols from Alumni Hall. Tony Basilio along with the great Mark Griffin. And we're here to talk about our friends at Performance Medicine. And Griff, their slogan, stay educated, stay healthy. That's you.
Wow. I really like to think that, Tony, and I'd like to give Dr. Rogers a lot of credit because I definitely want to stay educated and healthy, and knowing that he's putting the time and effort in to make sure of my care, I want to encourage your listeners to put the time to learn and become educated and get to know Dr. Rogers and see if it can help with your health as well.
And there's a really, really easy way to do that. In fact, they've got their own YouTube channel. You can see Dr. Rogers for himself with his staff. It's called The Performance Medicine Show over at the Performance Medicine channel over on YouTube. Also, more information at performancemedicine.net. To our friends in North Knoxville, a brand new location over in Fountain City, now accepting patients. So many ways to reach Dr. Rogers. And like they say, stay educated, stay healthy. Performance Medicine, online, performancemedicine.net. TB here for Cedar Bluff Plumbing, a live and local company that's been serving our area for over 32 years and counting because every customer counts, and I mean no job is too small. Cedar Bluff Plumbing just voted #1 by City View magazine because multiple plumbing experts are on call to serve all your plumbing needs. Chances are there'll be a plumber in your area when you call, and they won't send some salesman to your house. You're going to get a high character, trustworthy, highly trained plumber who will serve you. Not like some of these guys that look like they came off the set of America's Most Wanted. Cedar Bluff Plumbing is Basilio tested and approved and will go the extra mile for you because Chucky Mack is a servant of the people and my consigliere to the throne, celebrating over 32 years of serving living volunteers. Cedar Bluff Plumbing. Call 588-4448. That's 588-4448. Cedar Bluff Plumbing.
Attention Vol fans, are you tired of complicated, clunky fleet technology that makes your job harder? Say goodbye to frustration and hello to Connexial, your hometown partner in logistics. It's time to rev up your operations with next level fleet management from Connexial. Connexial is here to keep your business on track with technology that works as hard as you do. Our game-changing ELD gives you more than just hours of service. With AI-powered dash cameras and real-time asset tracking, you'll have eyes on the road, cargo, and your fleet from anywhere, anytime. And the best part, our friendly US-based customer support team is just one phone call away. No more long wait times or frustrating tech talk. Just real people with real solutions. With Connexial, you get a professional team you can trust and easy-to-use products that keep you on the road. What do you say, Tony?
I'm ready. Make the smart move and call Connexial today.
865-888-6920. Learn more at Connexial.com. That's Konexial.com. Drive life with Connexial and go Vols.
Basilio here, and you know my friends at Carnes Motor Company started with a dream over a quarter century ago. I met Rob and Brian back when I still had hair, and they were working at a huge dealership in West Knoxville. But they told me back then they wanted to sell cars on their terms, and I wanted to do radio on my terms. Their terms, just like my terms, are ultimately your terms. In both cases, you're the winner. A Car Guru's National Award winner with a 5-star rating on all sites, just like our Vols. Everything about buying a car from Carnes Motor Company is no hassle. They specialize in high-quality pre-owned vehicles between the $5,000 to $25,000 range. And if you need to sell a car, they'll either buy your car or they'll help you sell it. Carnes Motor Company also has a top-notch service department. Therefore, every vehicle is rigorously inspected and serviced prior to delivery. So you're guaranteed to get a quality pre-owned vehicle every time. If you need a place for service, they've got you covered. Come be a part of the Carnes Motor Company family and tell them you heard about it from me. Online at carnesmotor.com. Oak Ridge Highway, 1 mile past the Carnes light. Carnes Motor Company. Absolutely outstanding. To the radio listener, I love you. I appreciate you. We've served you for all these years, GBO.
WJBE 1040 AM 99.7 FM. Translator W259AB. Powell, Knoxville.
A TLD Logistics Overdrive Overtime unlike any others. We celebrate the season that was.
It's TLD Logistics Overdrive Overtime, presented by TLD Logistics. Online at tldlogistics.com.
It's absolutely next level. Thank you. Connexial Kristen, I love you.
And now let's go to the guys with today's edition of TLD Logistics Overdrive Overtime.
Congratulations on the birth of your third child, a little girl. Praise God for life. You and Sammy are wonderful people. You more than him, but you know, I love Sammy. He's a beautiful kid. Talk about a guy we took from a boy to a man. Boy to a man, Sammy. Boy to a man. First time I met Sammy, I thought, this kid's got some light in his eyes. Love this kid. And Kristen, she's just a sweetheart. People are like familiar to me. Famiglia, as we say in the trade. Famiglia. Then again, a lot of people are like family to me, but y'all are like family to me, no kidding. So Congratulations on the birth of your child. And Sammy, it was great seeing you Friday, you and your brother, who looks like W. Lynn that he dreams in period. What is it? What do we say about W. Lynn? Bri, dreams in what? Hang on a second here, Bri. Let me get you guys back engaged. What is it, Bri? I'm really...
He dreams in...
Yeah.
He dreams in period dress.
Yes. In other words, while you're dreaming of, if this is straight, if we're talking straight here, can't assume these days, but you might dream of a woman, say, in a nice mini skirt or whatever. W. Lynn likes those dresses to hang around their ankles. Like it's 1865. Who had the song 1970-something, Matt, the old country song? Was that Kenny Chesney?
Mark Wills? I think it was Mark Wills.
Mark Wills, all right.
Yeah.
W. Lynn's got one. It's 1870-something. We had to write some lyrics to it, Bri. Matt Dixon, Tennessee, is involved with a pitcher from Rutgers, continuing Tony Vols' string of being involved with Northeastern guys. This guy is a Mac daddy by the name of Landon Mack. Just completed his freshman season. A righty, originally from Columbus, New Jersey, by way of Bishop Eustis. Struck out a career-high 6 against Washington, pitching 6 innings. Named the Big Ten Pitcher and Freshman of the Week. 7 scoreless innings at number 9, Oregon. Gave up only 2 hits, no walks in 7 innings there. Oregon, a team that hosted, made the tournament. Matt Dixon, are you for or against going back to the Northeast, as Tony's got a little pipeline going up there in the Jersey, New York area?
I'm always for whatever roster moves they make. They, seem to have a really good eye for talent and fits, and especially with pitchers, and with Frank Anderson, and then even though they had some struggles this year and weren't quite an elite staff, still pretty good, and you kind of know what you're going to get. So I like it. I like the Northeastern guys, or really just the Northern guys in general. There's a lot of untapped potential with both the arms and the bats there.
Tony is jumping on the radio with us tomorrow. Listen, their staff is going hog wild and pig crazy. How many guys in the last, since they got eliminated, Bri, have we seen them linked with? What you guys think about that? They're going off.
Probably 5-ish.
They're going off right now. Matt, by the time he's on with us tomorrow, how many guys will they be linked to?
Probably a dozen or so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They might even have picked up a commit by the time he comes on tomorrow. A guy go public with a commitment.
Today over at tclub.team, I'm spitballing here. I was talking to Heflin. He's a goof. So really it's equivalent of spitballing. But by our assessment, Tennessee needs an outfield bat, Matt. At least one, maybe two. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, more than likely. Yeah, you need, yeah. But that's the thing where Tennessee's at, just the position they're in, is they can be very selective and they can just kind of choose the top of the, they can go for the best and land at a few of them. And really the position in need, obviously that is a factor, but they can really just kind of go for best available too and have their chance of landing them.
They're going to
program.
Well, coming into next season, they got a couple heavy bats out there. Grimmer's a heavy bat. Newstrom's a guy we think is going to end up playing third base. Clark is a heavy bat. I think Clark is a kid that could play some outfield for you. based on just what we hear. Abernathy is another one. Abernathy, Matt, I think is your center fielder next year. It looks like yes right now. Yeah. You agree with that?
Center fielder and leadoff hitter.
Yes. And that long home run he hit, that's a pretty good sign to do that in that spot.
Yeah.
Pretty valuable.
To hit it as far as he did. That ball that wasn't a wall scraper.
That was his first home run of the year.
And I mean, he hit the
he got every bit of it.
He hit the So you got Newstrom on third, just thinking about it. Marin probably plays short for you. I don't know. Does he hit enough to play there? They probably go get a big bat for second base. And then they go get a big bat for first base. The question is, who catches? Does Cannon Peebles, in your opinion, Matt, come back? They've got 2 guys incoming in their freshman class. I don't know that Clark, they think, is a catcher. But they've got 4 guys. Actually, they've got 4 guys signed who they're calling catchers. But the way this generally works is only 2 of those guys probably have catching skills. It's a very, very hard thing to find a catcher at this level, as we've seen here, even during the glory days. What do you think they do there, Matt?
It's a really good question because I know Peebles has another year of eligibility, and I don't think he's getting drafted. Maybe he does, but I don't see that. So what he does will kind of dictate that. I think I saw they're already linked to a couple of catchers in the portal, which it felt like they kind of had a logjam there this year already. With Peebles, Lawless, and Clark, if you wanted to put him there, although I do think he's going to move to either first base or left field long term, which with his bat makes sense. So I guess it depends on what Peebles does. If Peebles comes back, he probably might not need to bring in another catcher, but if he leaves, it'd be nice to maybe find somebody who you can be a little bit more reliable behind the plate with your pitchers.
All right, so another need Tennessee has, then we go to the phones. A back-end bullpen piece that can get some outs. Now, Willie thinks that they need to get off this velo stuff and get some guys and get at least 1, maybe 2 guys, Matt, that have funky arm slot stuff, like the kid last year that pitched all those high-leverage innings for him, like Kirby Cannell, like some of the other guys we've seen. Funky arm slot stuff, or guys that don't necessarily pitch in the high 90s. I call those guys showcase arms. Our showcase arms this year in the bullpen at times got kind of rattled and rocked. Do you agree, Matt, we need some change of pace guys out there on the back end? They get some swing and miss.
Yeah, it would be nice to have a little bit of that change up stuff. The arm slots, the one guy from ETSU,
yes,
who I think played at Peard and pitched against Tennessee when ETSU upset the Vols.
Mm-hmm.
He was their best pitcher in that midweek game. I think he pitched 3 innings, and he's like a submarine guy, so even more funky than what AJ Causey's was. But yeah, Dylan Loy's out there, your high leverage, kind of that Kirby role. But it would be nice to change that up, because that throws hitters off. If every guy comes in throwing, upper 90s fastballs with a slider, you can, it's a little bit easier to pick up on that. Whereas if you have the variance there, and Krenzel's got a little bit of a unique arm slot.
Yes.
We'll see. He might be a rotation guy, but I do think they'd be better off if they had a couple of more just change of pace and just unique arms back there, which in the college game, you can find those guys really about anywhere. There's a ton of guys that top out in the 80s, upper 80s that can be effective and get you a bunch of outs.
The Sieber kid is one of their potential starters next year. We didn't see him, but they think he's going to be back, and they think he's going to be good to go. He's an excellent high-end type starter. The Krenzel kid Matt just mentioned is an excellent high-end type starter, potentially for them next year. Could pitch on the weekends, I think. Unless, Matt, you don't agree with that. I think that he was tracking to have a very good freshman season until he was derailed with his illness this year.
Yeah. Well, they turned to him in the key spots that, here.
No doubt.
In Fayetteville.
No doubt.
They went to him. So that's what they think of him. He's got the pedigree with his dad playing at Ohio State. I think there's a lot to like there. Whether it's a weekend starter or just a key guy from your bullpen, I definitely think he's one of the guys that eats a lot of innings for him next year.
What isn't known is my boy from Gettysburg up in Pennsylvania, Coons. It's really ominous, okay, that he did not, though he made the travel roster to Arkansas, he was there, but it's really ominous that they never called his number either last weekend or this weekend. Now, a couple things could be at play. He could be hurt, and we don't know it. They could have shut him down after his struggles, and we don't know it. Or they might not have plans for him, and we don't know it. But to me, it's either. To me, it's one of those three things, and there's really not much ambiguity between those. Matt, is there? It's got to be one of those three things. He's either hurt and we don't know it. They shut him down and we don't know it, or they don't have plans for him, and we don't know it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he obviously struggled down the stretch, and as a freshman arm, probably threw more innings than he ever had, and obviously, big innings as a starter. So, yeah, I do think that one of those is the key. And, yeah, he's a guy that, if he's back, obviously he's in that rotation conversation again.
Oh, yeah, he's got high-end stuff. Yes. Yep. So, and the thing about Frank Anderson is we've seen this year over year, they develop pitches with guys. They kind of bring them along. You think about the Phillips kid, who's another cold weather climate kid like Brian was talking about. They love getting these cold weather climate guys. Where did the kid that transferred from Louisville come from? Like one of those cold weather states. Where was it? Wisconsin guys? Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, him and Snead are from Wisconsin.
They love these lightly used guys. I don't blame them. Let me tell you something. I played baseball growing up in Pennsylvania. It gets dark at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon there. Hard to burn yourself out when it gets dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in the fall. Hard to play fall ball there. I am not kidding you either when I say it gets dark. We played spring ball, like high school season. And it would literally, during our games in May, literally get dark 5:30, 6 o'clock, sun starts to set. And I've told the story in the air. I had transition lenses. I was playing the outfield. And this kid came up. And transition lenses back then, lenses meant that those things got dark. And it was dusk outside. You couldn't see anything. I had a ball hit at me. My friend Mike Tate was in center field, and he screamed, "Basilio, watch out!" And Matt, this ball hit me in the thigh in left field.
I guess you probably didn't talk trash after that, did you?
Well, I mean, I couldn't see it because my glasses were so dark. And my coach goes, "What happened, Basilio?" And I said, he goes, why are you wearing sunglasses? And I said, they're not. They're my transition. He goes, why are you wearing those lenses? Which was a good question. Let's go to the phones.
Liam Doyle is your Perfect Game USA 2025 College Baseball Pitcher of the Year.
Wow. Even over the kid from Florida State, Matt. How about that?
Steve Austin. Yeah, that's a high honor for him. Got a great start to the year. Didn't quite end the season as well as you'd like, but obviously he'd trade that to still be pitching. But yeah, that's a really good honor for him. I think him and Hochaver are the only two Tennessee pitchers that have ever won that.
Wow. Send me the link on that, Bri. That's great, man. back to the phones we go. I could be wrong. I think Liam Doyle is going to be a great Major League Baseball player. I could be wrong. Something tells me, and Tony's starting to produce a pretty fair share of Major League guys where you turn games on at night and you're like, I mean, you wait till the kid from the Mets comes up and you're going to be like, oh, okay, because Dolander pitched every day and you're going to be like, oh, kind of like Vandy about 5 or 6 years ago when they had all these guys running around in Major League Baseball. Hello and welcome into our next call. You're on the air. It's TLD Logistics Overdrive Overtime High.
Hey, what's up, Tony, Josh?
Yo, Wings.
What did you think about that game 3 last night in Florida?
I thought about you because the first of all, well, it didn't look like it's going to go 7 games, and then the last 7 or 8 minutes of that game felt like I was watching some 1970s hockey.
I kind of disagree with you. I think Edmonton's going to come back and win Game 4.
Well, they better. They better because
Yeah.
they're not going to be able to get it to 7 if they don't win Game 4. So Game 4 becomes crucial. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
You cannot continue to take stupid penalties when you're playing a team with that high.
That's what costed them last night.
No
those
doubt about it.
boneheaded penalties.
You cannot be shorthanded for 12 minutes in a hockey game against that Florida team and live to tell about it. No way.
Yeah.
No way.
And I was flipping back and forth between that and the Murray State and Duke game last night. I'm so happy for the Murray State Racers getting to Omaha. What did you think about that game last night, Tony?
I called Brian afterwards.
Yeah.
And I said, Brian, I haven't watched a minute of the hockey game because that was such a great baseball game.
Yeah, it was.
I could have swore, Brian, when Duke took the lead in the middle to late innings, when they had that 7th inning lead, Brian, I thought for sure Murray State was cooked. Shot their best shot and was cooked, Brian. They looked like they were kind of out of pitching. They just looked like they were in big trouble. Brian, somehow Murray State got off the deck, loaded the bases and didn't score and still won the baseball game, Brian.
And
Bases
they had to
loaded,
celebrate
nobody out.
twice because there was a double play. They gave them a double play on an interference. And then they ruled it was interference, so they had to go get one more out, and they were able to overcome that.
Hey, Matt,
and won the game.
Matt, I want to ask you, because if that would have impacted us, we would have been urinated off if we were the defensive team. Did you agree, Matt, that kid did not slide purposefully into that? Because it looked to me like he took a path right into his legs on purpose. What did you think, Matt?
I didn't want the game to end with a runner's interference call at second. That would have been really a real shitty way to obviously lose your season. But to make Omaha doing that wouldn't have felt right either. I'm glad that they overturned it. I wish they just hadn't called it because, like Brian said, Murray State, dogpiled twice. So once they overturned it, I was really hoping Murray State was still going to win because that would have been just an all-time brutal way to lose. But I'm not a fan of that. I thought the slide was into the base enough.
Interesting.
Because the fielder was actually kind of in the
base.
runner's lane.
That's right. He was.
Tony, you kind of talk about that with like the inconsistency of umpiring this year in the Major League and college baseball level. I feel like in 2 ways the umps make it all about themselves. They feel like they're the main attraction there at the games for both MLB and college baseball. And I wish that we could get the robotic umpire zone for both leagues, both MLB and college baseball.
Josh, they have the Major League Umpire Union. See, the reason the CB Bucknors of the world are unfireable, unless you are a complete buffoon, and CB Bucknor's close to it, but those guys are unfireable, and they know that. That's why last night in a game, the home plate umpire doing the Red Sox game, I was watching some highlights this morning, he missed a call on the Red Sox, on a Red Sox pitcher, top of the inning, and then they gave him a bunch of crap, and then it looked like he purposely missed a call that was low and called the guy that struck out.
Right.
And, of course, Red Sox manager comes out, he throws him out, throws somebody else out, and it's just all about, at that point, it's about something measuring contest. And most times those Major League umpires think they have shall we say Brian, what's the word I'm looking for? And they have the smallest.
Yeah.
The biggest bats.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
The Major League umpires really piss me off. The thing is, though, most of those guys, when you look at those scorecards, are really, really good at what they do. When you can get 98%, 97% of pitches right during a game, you're really good at what you do. And then, of course, you've got the CB Bucknors of the world who are, well, they're shall we say, protected by a couple things, but one of them is the strongest union in the United States of America, the umpires.
I don't know. That's just something to think about with college baseball, with the inconsistency we see, because most of these umpires in college baseball they just do it part-time. They have other jobs when they're not doing the umpiring. But
pitchers want the robo-umps, Josh. Pitchers think the robo-umps will help them, and I'm not sure they won't, because Phillips, Matt, from the word go, got squeezed the other day. You were there live for that. I thought that was disgraceful, Matt, the way that umpire comported himself behind the plate. No offense.
Yeah, that's just a reputation deal that Tennessee's. I mean, they earned it and brought it on themselves, but it's a shame that 2 or 3 years later that's still coming back to affect games and affect how games are called for pitchers. It's
a warning on the first batter, of written warning. Like we've never seen that. I guarantee you that didn't happen all year in college baseball. A written warning?
I've never seen it in my life before until the other day.
I mean,
I think Vitello got a warning during the first batter of one of the finals games in Omaha last year. I actually think it was the guy, the ump from Maryville, that gave it to him.
Yeah. Oh. Hey, Tony, out the door. I know we have at least 2 more months to think about this, but here's where I'm at for the upcoming season. My ceiling and floor for Tennessee. My ceiling's going to be 8-4, 9-3, and the floor will be 7-5. Y'all have a good day.
Yeah, thank you. As long as Josh Heupel's here, your floor is very high and your ceiling is okay. Your ceiling's okay and your floor is very high. He's always going to be somewhere in the middle of that. But this team and this program going forward needs more high-end football players. That's how you win in this league. High-end playmakers, as we like to say in the trade. Back to the phones we go on your TLD Logistics phone lines as we celebrate the season that was. Hello and welcome in. You're on the air.
Hey, Mr. Bobby.
Hey, buddy. Welcome in.
This is really interesting. I forgot to mention this the other day when I called about that umpire on the first game. You realize he runs an umpiring clinic? Like he teaches other guys how to umpire. I think we discovered how bad college umpiring really is and why.
Wow.
The guy teaches other college umpires how to umpire.
Well, there is a saying, right? Those who can't teach. So I don't know.
He's bad. And he went into business for himself. We've all established that.
Oh, I think that's right. Yes.
Do you have any vibe on the ETSU side, Armor, from Bearden? I love that kid.
I mean, they'd love to get him. I don't know what he's going to do, but obviously, here's the thing. When you bring him in that quickly, this doesn't just happen nilly-willy. So obviously, right. Tennessee's invested in getting him here.
Yeah. I think he went in with a no contact tag.
Well, there you go. That's even more indication of where we're going here.
I like that kid a lot. I was at that game. I like guys who try to grab the dirt when they throw the ball. Mm-hmm. He had a pretty nasty slider. Mm-hmm. Not overpowering stuff, but that's a guy, man, that's a perfect bullpen guy. You just said it a moment ago, Tony. You nails on that. You know, we have these showcase arms, as you call them, which is wonderful. You got to have a few of those. But sometimes you just need a guy that gets outs. And sometimes guys who get outs are just ugly pitchers. It's just gross when it comes across.
I love the grit of those guys. I love the compete of those guys. And I think that's pretty much how you're going to, at this school, with the formula of this coach. Think about last year. Think about our submariner last year. And past College World Series teams, they need a grit of a mix of the grit and the high-end talent. I don't know, Matt, that this year's team had a lot of grit. Had some high-end talent.
No.
I don't know how much grit this team had, Matt. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's fair. They were missing some of the grinders that kind of helped build the program. So it's one of the things I think when Vitello reflects back on it that they might try to find. I mean, you can find really talented guys that play their ass off, but you also need those Hunter Inslee type grinder guys, even if they're just role players, and that kind of help get things going and keep that off switch from going off, as we've talked about, happens way too often for this team. So it's very true. And I think there's a lot of value in those guys.
And you know what, Roberto, they got to play right now under the rules that the NCAA has set before them, which is part of this House settlement. So when you only have 34, I want to say the temptation is going to be to go more toward the high-end guys and acquire as many of those guys as you can. And I'm going to ask Tony tomorrow if he plans on threading the needle, because if you take away the grinders, you take away Tony's effectiveness as a coach, because he needs those guys. He needs those guys.
Yeah. And that's why we like William Doyle so much, too. It's not just, I mean, he has elite stuff. Everybody saw he's electric, especially up in the zone with his four-seamer. But also, he's a grinder. Like, he got out there and he played hard and pitched hard. And he was a thinker. A lot of people thought he just played all on emotions. No, he actually worked the zone and then used his fastball up. And you know who's another grinder that we loved? Fisher. The kid is a smart, intelligent, I mean, he's a great athlete. So there you can find the mix, and maybe that's the answer, Tony, is you find the kids that are grinders that also happen to be elite talents. I'm sure they're the most coveted, but nonetheless, I think you're right with this new scholarship / roster limitation, which is stupid, by the way. But with that said, thanks for the time, guys. Looking back at it here at the end of the year, I'm very pleased with what happened this year. I can call it even a A- type effort. I would have loved to go to Omaha because I was going to get to go finally, selfishly, but they didn't. But it's still a great accomplishment. Hell of a team. And, we get to go again next year, and Tony has time to recruit. And that's very dangerous for everybody else. So maybe this is our cycle. Go to Omaha, maybe win one, come back, recruit the next year, and do it over and over again. Have a good one.
Thank you. And I get the feeling that Matt's right. As we've pivoted to some real baseball conversation here in the TLD Logistics Overdrive Overtime, I get the feeling that Matt's right. By tomorrow, you're going to see us linked with 10 guys. I bet that. Yeah, I was told over the weekend that they were immediately in recruiting mode as soon as that final out was made.
He probably was on his way to see somebody by 9:00 Sunday night.
It's insane.
Is that why he couldn't come on the show today? He was out recruiting. I mean, what's this guy doing? Couldn't come on the show of record because he's recruiting?
Something about you being in here, Matt. He said Sean said something about, Dixon's going to put the hammer in the grill to him. So who are grinders, guys, down through the years? Because when I phrase that question, I'm gonna make sure Tony understands. Like the Ensleys, the Evan Russells, the Kirbys,
the 21 guys, some of those people, the Redmond Washes,
Redmond Walsh. Is our boy a grinder, or is he better than that?
William Heflin, he's a grinder.
Our boy Heflin, is he a grinder, Matt?
He's the grinder, but let's not give him credit for that when Vitello's on. I'm trying to think. I always thought Camden Sewell was kind of one of those grinder type guys. One of those. He wasn't a junk baller, but he was one of those unique arms that, kind of gave you a different look. Who else? Who were some of the batters?
The kid that played first base.
Evan Russell's a grinder.
Grinder is definitely. Lipsius is a grinder.
Connor Pavi.
Yes. Pavoloni. What a great president.
Cal Stark, obviously. And that's Vitello's favorite player. I think that's Vitello's favorite player on last year's team.
Yes.
Because of that. Yeah, the Cal Stark, the intangible stuff that doesn't show up on anybody's stat sheet and really doesn't show up on game scores, but the intangible stuff that I feel like this team just didn't quite have.
He was so unsung, and he was missed badly this year. Probably more so than anybody they lost off of last year's team, even just from a defensive standpoint.
One of the really astute callers, I think it was Andrew in Maryville, or one of the callers. We had so many great baseball callers. Me and Matt talked off the air about some of y'all that call the baseball post-game show only as you listen back to this. Tip of the cap. Because we were talking about, somebody had mentioned that the Cal Stark with the catching, one of the keys last year were those back picks. And those are outs you don't think about, but when you get an SEC play, even one or two of those in a weekend, that's a huge deal in SEC play.
Makes the difference between winning a series and not winning a series.
No doubt. Anything that leads to an out in SEC play, as we've seen. I mean, how many 2-out rallies do you see? How many 2-strike hits do you see? It's a crazy-ass game. So anytime you can record sort of almost like an unearned out is what I would call that. I don't know what you would term that, Matt. So one of the caller that said it called it a hidden out, which I think is a great way of putting it, because it's just a play that shouldn't happen. But anyway,
well, and not only that, but it makes that whoever that runner was and the rest of that team hesitant to be aggressive on the bases going forward too. So you get an out, and you also might prevent a couple of stolen bases down the road. Which, Stark gave up very few stolen bases last year as well, and that was obviously one of the things that killed this team. So
Stark had a pair.
Yeah, I like the term defensive RBI, but I mean I don't know how you calculate that, but like I wish there was a way to calculate that, because I think that's like Hunter Inslee had a lot of those this year, like especially in that one Vanderbilt game that he kind of single-handedly won.
Matt, you think Bargo's back next year? Because they got 34 now, so they have to tell guys, almost like in football, you're welcome back or you're not welcome back. Like I don't know how to say this out loud without saying it out loud, and we're just having a discussion about it. But they have to be honest with people as well, because it's a meritocracy, and they have to respect that. Do you think Bargo comes back next year? Because they're making it really hard on these guys now with 34. They're making it really hard on them.
Yeah, it's really tough.
It's a sad thing.
Kind of, I guess Chapman falls into this too. This is kind of their leverage year with the draft. I'm not sure how much pro potential Bargo has. I think Chapman probably has a little bit more, but I'm not sure either of those guys, unless they just take a low signing bonus or guys that you would expect to get drafted. So I would lean yes, because again, we talked about the loyalty factor with Vitello and those guys, and those are guys that he just rode with to the end of the year. And one thing I think we forgot to mention, and sorry to get sidetracked, but Bargo and Chapman and even Curley played really well for this team in the tournament last year. Down the stretch, I think Bargo had 2 home runs in one of the Evansville games. I think Chapman hit a home run in Omaha. And I think that was another one of the reasons that Vitello just rode with those guys, because you just expected them to come out of that slump, and they just unfortunately never did. But to your point, I don't know how I don't know any insight. I would lean that at least one of those 2 corner guys, outfielder guys, come back. But I mean, I'm not sure, because it's that roster thing. That's a real headache, because if you're going to go the pro route, which I think those guys at least have a little potential to do that. You get that wrapped up this summer and start that journey. So
both those guys swing a pretty good bat. Both those guys, if they got a different approach, maybe got under a different tutelage, maybe something clicked in for them at the next level. I mean, stranger things have happened. Both those guys have potential to play professional baseball. Both those guys have a lot of swing and miss too. So we're not gonna lie about it on here. I mean, what good does it do to insult your intelligence, which already is being tested by listening to this to begin with? Somebody said yesterday that if Tony had to do it over, somebody on the show, and I kind of let it go because in the spirit of time, but I wanted to ask you about this, and then we'll go back to our phones. They said, Tony, if he had a do-over, caller said, wouldn't have ridden to those guys, wouldn't have ridden to the very end with those guys. You buy that, Matt? Because I don't buy that. I didn't say it in real time yesterday. I think he would have done the exact same thing knowing the outcome. I think he would have done the exact same thing. Because I think that's who he is.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, I think with the position players, I think that was who he was going to ride with. And, ultimately those guys didn't come through for you. Curley had kind of the season-long struggles, which affected a couple of positions in the infield. And remember, Curley was the leadoff hitter there to start the year. And you had to move him down from there. But I just think a lot of those factors. But yeah, I think that he would ride with those guys again. Maybe change the pitching thing. Maybe you give Doyle another batter or two to see if he works himself out. That's the question you can ask him about. He has the loyalty to the position players, but it does seem like there can be some quick hooks with pitchers and how you have to balance that out. Because obviously it's a different deal when you're with pitchers, but they do seem to ride with the position players more than the pitchers. Although that was a criticism a few years ago that we used to say they left guys in too long, and now we're kind of flipped to more times than not. We're saying we took guys out a little too early. So that's how you balance that. You could ask him about.
I'm going to say I used to get on you for leaving pitchers in too long. That's really, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now we might pull too soon. And there's never a right answer to all this, and it's easy to, second guess after the fact. But, the right decision can still have a wrong result.
I think they did that properly Sunday. And you know me, I'll second guess everybody, including him to his face. But I thought they did the right thing Sunday.
I completely understood why they did it. I probably would have given Doyle another batter or two to try to get himself out of it, even though he clearly didn't have it. But the thing I thought was really interesting was that when Vitello went out there to get him, or was kind of standing on the steps debating whether to go get him, Liam Doyle showed no emotion about staying in the dugout or give me one more batter or any of that. Like, he was kind of resigned to, he didn't have it that day. And he just kind of understood that, which I thought was really interesting. Cause we saw how fiery he is. And Vitello joked about how he can't go take the ball from him, but Doyle was kind of resigned to that fact on Sunday when they took him out, which I thought was kind of telling and probably led to that decision. Maybe made that decision easier. Because Vitello and Frank had talked about it, and Vitello was kind of on the top step. He took a few seconds to really think about it, it looked like. And then he went out there and got Doyle in that obviously the highest leverage spot with your season on the line. And, ultimately it didn't work out.
I'm going to ask him that. If Doyle would have screamed, stay in the dugout, would you have stayed there? Because he's done it a couple of times. I asked Will Heflin about that. So how many times have you seen Tony do it? He said maybe once or twice he'll walk out there and not take a guy out. But Tony's not walking out there for a mound visit.
Yeah, I think he's walked out there once that I remember where he left a guy in. And I don't think it was the same time, but I think Evan Russell talked him into leaving somebody in at one point as well. I don't know if Tony had actually came out of the dugout or not, or if Evan just told him to stay in the dugout and Vitello listened. But no, when Vitello goes out there, the pitcher's coming out.
Yeah. I look, if the catcher, I'm not betting on the catcher, but if the catcher, this is how crazy baseball is. If the catcher squeezes the ball there, Matt, Krenzel's going to get out of that inning. That's going to happen. But when the whole chain of events, that leaky defense thing is what set that whole series. And I'm not blaming that kid, but it's just emblematic of what this team was this year. They just had an ability to self-emulate that you just don't. You got to appreciate it, their combustible nature. And you could kind of feel it coming, too. You could kind of feel that grand slam coming.
Yeah, they had the ability to get themselves into trouble, but then they didn't have the dudes or the ability to work themselves out of that trouble.
Yep.
And, I mean, they just never could, like you said, get that last out of an inning to strand two guys or get that base hit, that two-out base hit, to bring two guys in. This team never seemed to be able to do that and put that together, especially that back half of the year.
And the top and the bottom of that inning.
In a way, they went about as far as they could. And I mean, they weren't going to be
great coaching job. Nah, it's a great coaching job to get there.
Yeah,
great coaching job. 865-200-5402. Let's get our next call in. It's TLD Logistics Overdrive Overtime. Hello and welcome in. You're on the air.
Hey, good afternoon, Tony.
Hey, Greg.
How you guys doing today?
Great day to be alive and well, brother.
I heard that. Welcome Matt back as well. Glad everything's good for you to get back home.
On his behalf, I'll accept.
All right, sir. Couple of things. I watched that Murray State Duke game. Good game, like you said earlier, man. That was real good to watch. And it's so crazy where they come from. And that tells you doesn't make any difference what size stadium you play in, how many fans you have at your games, how you play the game. And I want to give another shout out. Not sure whether the folks know it, not sure whether you guys know it or not. Their head coach, Dan, is it Circa?
Yeah, we've invited him on. He might join us tomorrow. Comes from our neck of the woods through the junior college ranks that you always brag about.
Yeah, he was.
Yep.
He was an assistant at Walter State. But I guess probably one of the most important people under him at Murray State is the hitting coach, Hunter Wolf, also from Walter State, former assistant there. So a shout out to those two guys. I remember them both several years ago there. What a great deal for that school. I'm looking for an upset with them guys. I really wouldn't want to play them first if it was me. But
who do they draw, Bri?
Tough.
Bri, who do they draw? First game, who does Murray have? Do you guys know?
I believe I couldn't unmute myself. They play UCLA.
Shit. The Bruins are in trouble, big boy.
I think they are. And I've got to kind of...
Wouldn't it be funny if Arkansas lost to them, got knocked out by Murray State?
It would be so apropos for that whole Arkansas deal and how weird they've never won a world championship there in baseball. It'd be so apropos.
I thought I'd tell you guys a funny story. Kind of funny to me, anyway. got off with y'all listening to you guys yesterday and turned on the tube or changed the channels. And, of course, that afternoon guy who does the talk show on the SEC network was on, as usual, which I normally watch it, but I hardly ever call. So I called a couple of times, got busy signal, called back again, got in. And the thing I wanted to mainly talk about was the balls and strikes in college baseball and about the TrackMan system. When Marcus Phillips was pitching, he walked a guy on 4 straight pitches, and TrackMan said they all were strikes. And I was mentioning that. And when I got off the call, you know how long he's been on sports on a major network. He made a comment as we hung up. Well, that's a few things I didn't know about. He didn't even know about TrackMan. That's crazy.
You took Feinbaum under wing, didn't you?
I just shook my head. That's how those guys are on TV, man. They just do a talk show. They don't know much about the sport, what goes on behind the scenes, and how all the umpires are graded every game by the system called TrackMan. It was crazy. That was a shocking comment.
Yeah, it's utterly wild. What's Hunter Wolf is that guy's name? Brian, that might have been what they said to you when the SID said, I'm going to see both of them. Brian, we'll take that Wolf guy if Shirk is too busy, okay? Skirk is too busy. We'll take that Wolf guy.
Okay, yeah, and they might both get on.
Yeah, we'll declare ourselves members of the Wolf Pack, too. Matt, were you in NWO Wolf Pack or just the plain Wolf Pack back in the day?
I like the Wolf Pack better.
Nobody has any idea. Hey, Greg, yeah, I would believe that about Feinbaum. I mean, Feinbaum's there to elicit reaction out of people for football. That's his job. And really, that's his main job. He's not there to worry about college baseball.
Well, let me tell you, I don't watch him much because when I've watched it a lot, it sounds like Peyton plays.
Yeah, he's not my cup of tea. Yeah, he's not my cup of tea.
All these callers calling out other callers, being really terrible toward them, and I don't want to sit and listen to that crap.
I remember Paul's show when he didn't genuflect at the throne of the SEC, and it was much better radio. He's a very, very, very talented radio guy, but he's become kind of a shill and a hack here in his last act, and that's all right. It is what it is.
Yep.
But I appreciate
that's
you,
all
brother.
I got, brother.
You're my boy. Hey, that Murray State team, looking at their roster, guys, no offense to Feinbaum, but he is a shill and a hack. One time I was on a show and he was making fun of those SEC meetings, and he was like, why are you here? Why are you there? You got more of a brain than that. And then the next couple years later, he's front and center. The very thing he would just deride on the air, which proves what the $1 Million Man once said, which is everybody has a price. No offense. And good for him. They've got a ton of kids from Illinois. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, and Indiana. Illinois and Indiana is about half their roster.
Well, they're not far from either place.
A few Tennessee kids, tons of Illinois and Indiana kids on that baseball team. Tons of them. So they're pulling. Here's the truth. They're doing what they're doing with kids right in their little tri-state region. Some Tennessee as well. But that's how they built their roster. And they're in the final 8, man. Probably one of the better accomplishments since what, Matt, in that sport? Them getting to the final 8, baby, the final 8.
Or Roberts got there 2 years ago.
Oral Roberts, you think, have a better budget than them for baseball? Because Oral Roberts puts money into sports.
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, I mean, Coastal got there in 2016 as a Ford and won the thing, and I think Fresno State did as well back in like 08 or 09. So, but no, it's a great story.
And I mean, that one kid last night, Brian, that hit that ball off that wall, that outfielder misplayed that ball, and I mean, he got himself a triple. And for a kid that stocky to get a triple, an outfielder got to really misplay a ball. He hit the piss out of that ball over that outfielder's head, Bri. That thing did not get like 8 feet off the ground. But sometimes you see these outfielders just take crazy lines on balls in college ball. Crazy lines. Any other final thoughts here, boys, on the way out? Matt, glad you're back. Great job down there. Great coverage with Willie D as well, who called me during the show today and said, "Oh, that's right, you're on the air." Hey, Will, that's right, big boy. I'm on the... You show some respect, man. Put some respect on my name, big boy. Matt and Brian, any final thoughts?
No, I'm kind of exhausted. So
I know. Matt, I'm trying really hard not to talk about the house case stuff and focus on sports. I really am. So I want you to know that.
Yeah, well,
but today
I
we had to blend the two. I
hate that stuff, even though you have to get into it.
You got to blend it, yeah, because people want to know the inner workings. It's not going to work. But the 34 baseball scholarships, I'll just tell you a quick backstory on the way out here. I talked to Tony one day off the air, and I said, "Man, that's great. You got 34 scholarships now to that proposal." He goes, "Are you a dumbass?" And I went, yeah. Matty started to scream about how it was ridiculous, it was stupid. He goes, "Do you know how our sport works? How are we going to work with 34 scholarships? How are we going to play these midweek games? How are we going to play 3 games? How are we going to play preseason tournaments? How are we going to keep these pitchers that can't stay healthy anyway? How are we going to do all that?" I said, "I don't know. I haven't thought about it, but you're getting 34 full scholarships instead of 11.7. He goes, "Yeah, and 34 is all we can have on a roster." What? And I asked him, Matt, how many do you need full scholarship players? What's his answer going to be tomorrow, Matt?
50.
What's the real answer, Matt?
45-ish, I would think.
That's the real answer?
Anything less than 40 is putting kids at risk. That's going to tax arms and just really stretch pitching depth. Because you've got to have, I think you need 20 arms for a full season.
As it is, these kids throw too many pitches as it is.
Yes.
That's just the reality of it. That's why you see these teams when they get – imagine if they stick with this 34 thing, what these 3-game series are going to look like next year, Matt. Sheesh.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot of 15 to 12 games on Sundays.
That's exactly what it's going to look like. Way more than now. Thank you, boys. Great job, Matt. Great job, Bri. Tomorrow, Tony Vols leads off. I'm going to try and get a good night's sleep anyway. Brian, I am so excited to speak to Tony Vols, man. You talk about a guy that's pump. I am pump. I want to thank my friends at TLD Logistics. They're online at tldlogistics.com. For all your shipping needs, TLD Logistics have you covered. They also have a driver training academy. If you want to get in the game with TLD Logistics. I thought we would do 15 minutes of overtime today. I'm so passionate about what I do, and I'm like Matt. I'm kind of like ready for the summer and slow down here a little bit. So damn passionate about it, though. We get to talking. Great calls today. Great input on the phone lines, y'all. Leslie, shout out for you and Charlie for using the term Twittiot on the air today. That warmed my heart. And I love my Twitiots, by the way. I love y'all. I'm not speaking to all the twidiots. I'm just speaking to a few of you. A few of you need to get your heads checked, and a few of you need hobbies, but that's all right. That's all right. We're all finding our way in this world. I love you. I appreciate you. I support you. I say to you, G to the B to the O, and be blessed. God bless. Peace. Oh, man. I'm with Matt. I stand with Matt on that. These allergies are nasty. Nasty in this June season for some reason on me. Thank you to the person that recommended Navage. I think I might have to break down and go get myself one and give it a whirl. I'm already using something right now, Doctor something that you get at a Costco. Doctor, you squirt up your nose. I'm already using that. That's helped. But I might have to do the Navage thing. I might have to go Navage. Well, I love you. I appreciate it. Maybe I'll do it one day on YouTube. Maybe we'll make a YouTube video of me doing Navage. Appreciate you. Peace. By tears and all the years.
JBE 1040 AM, 99.7 FM. Translator W259AB. Powell, Knoxville.
T to the B, rocking on the ones and the twos and the twos and the ones. Shout out today, R.I.P. Sylvester Stewart, a.k.a. Sly Stone, Sly and the Family Stone. He passed away at the age of 82 yesterday. One of my musical heroes. So many incredible memories listening to that man's wonderful music. To me, as somebody that loves music and loves studying it, right? Popular forms of music. I mean, I'll do a little jazz stuff, but, that stuff gets very complicated. Sitting around with Davy Boy Bivens and some of these jazzies, and I'm going, okay, now this key, okay, that 7 chord means we're in this now, but now we're over here. Sly Stone, absolutely all-time wonderful. All-time wonderful. I mean, all-time. All-time. It was working, sweetie. What do you mean it wasn't working? It's on there. I'm having a dispute and a disagreement, Matt, with Laura. How's that going to turn out? How's that going to turn out, Matt?
It's going to be your first L of the show.
Going to take some L's.
I was going to say of the day, but of the show.
Going to take.
RIP 2025 Tennessee baseball.
Does that work out well for you, Matt, when you have disagreements with who usually wins, Matt, when you have disagreements with your wife? How's that usually turn out?
She's undefeated there.
I mean, well.
She's like, I guess, was it the Harlem Globetrotters?
You know what she
they never lost, right?
Hey, Matt, she just said to me, hey, Tony, I didn't do it.
And a great line from Laura to start the day.
Well, we're going to talk about the house case fallout today because nobody knows. Brian, I want to do your favorite Vols of 2025, 2024, 2025, Bri. Let's list all the things we did. Let's look back because I want to ask Matt about the baseball team because I just got off the phone with somebody that internally about Tennessee's baseball situation. Bri, by the way, how are we coming on the Tony Vols? How is that whole thing going? Getting the Tony Vols, all that. How's that whole thing going, Bri?
24 hours from right now, Tone. He will be present.
What?
On the show of record. In 24 hours from when I'm speaking.
You mean the Tony Vols is coming in here?
Yes, sir. 24 hours. Plus a few minutes.
All right, let's talk about the recently completed sports season. as you know it, Bri. Woo, woo, woo. You know it. Woo, woo, woo. All right, Bri, what ought we do this year in the sports year? By the way, Matt, how was Arkansas?
It was good. It was all right. No, it's a really impressive looking stadium, and it's a lot more spread out than like Lindsey Nelson. It has the major league type feel to it. Just there's just no upper decks. So, but every seat there is really, really good. The sightlines are incredible throughout, and I know Will Heflin said on the postgame that the sound kind of gets stuck on the field. It doesn't feel that way from the stands, but it's a really impressive looking stadium, and it's really easy to get in and out of. So I was impressed by it.
Yeah, those people celebrate the sport there. I looked it up last night, Matt, because people always want to project, and it's a world we live in, and Tony Vitello is going to be the next coach there when this guy leaves, and Van Horn's a little older. Brian and I were talking to each other about this last night. Van Horn's a little older than you think he is. How old is he, Brian? Mid-60s?
He is 64. He's a year older than Tim Corbin, which I thought Corbin had him beat in age.
And so the thought is, Matt, somebody wrote an article down there saying, hey, Tony got emotional because he's our next coach here. Do you realize, Matt, since 1970, they have had 2 baseball coaches there?
Yeah, it's impressive. And that's his program, and that he kind of built and created a dynasty there. I think Tony Vitello has a lot of fond memories there, and especially with some of the people, because a lot of the people are still there, as you're saying with Van Horn. But I don't, does it worry? That for me, not really, because I think Vitello's pretty enriched in Knoxville. He's got a house that his parents stay in here a lot of the year during the season. And this is kind of his program, but you never say never, but I'm not really worried about that. But it's good to, he's an emotional guy and kind of wears his emotions on his sleeve all the time.
Yep.
Whether that's cracking jokes during the in-game interviews or some of those post-game reflective moments that, we saw after Evansville last year. He kind of went off script a little bit and went off script again after Sunday's game, but that's just who he is.
Well,
and I think I like it. I like a coach that's not going to give you coach speak.
Hey, Matt, the other day when he was on the television, he spit a loogie. He hockered, as we say in the trade.
I was told that.
Yeah, he turned sideways.
The previous day he said he apologized for having a small bladder too.
And he apologized for having a small bladder the day before. I've never seen a man spit on camera, though, and say, sorry, guys, I'm having allergy issues. He's having allergy issues like I am right now. So I wonder if I
wonder if the Canadian wildfires were reaching Fayetteville.
I don't know, brah. The air here is terrible. No offense to the air here. So Matt's back. Okay, let me give you a little word on this house settlement and how this stuff's working in real time. First of all, it's effective immediately. Now, Tennessee has people they're visiting in baseball. The football team is out talking to prospects who want to know, this is the way this is going. How much money are you going to pay me? And all these SEC teams are telling these kids we have no idea. Because we don't know what our budget's going to look like yet. We don't know what's available for you, and then we got to put you through some clearinghouse. And the kids and the agents don't want to hear that, but that's where we are right now. This is what I'm telling you is accurate. What are the real-world implications of this? Well, in next year, you would think, on its face, they had 11.7 scholarships to dole out before in the old days, and they would all bitch and moan about that. Now they have a full 34 scholarships, okay? And they hate it. And why do they hate it? Because they're capped at 34 players. I was talking to Willie D. Heflin about the implications of this last night, Matt, as I spoke to somebody close to UT's deal today. Let's say you have 34 players that you bring to camp and 3 or 4 get hurt. Can you call people up? No, you can't. No, you can't. You're stuck with 34. Down to 31, down to 30, down to 29, down to... Matt, travel roster's what? 25, 26, 27? What's travel roster? Do you know?
I think it's at 30, I believe. I think it's around 30. But I don't know how that's going to, I mean, that's not going to work. I don't know how they're going to fix that, but you can't have these teams have 34-man baseball rosters that I believe you have to declare that 34 like in the fall. I think.
That's correct. You have till early December. And then early December you have to declare, and then what's going to happen is a bunch of the kids are going to cut loose. A bunch of those kids are going to end up on other rosters, maybe in your league, maybe at the Murray States of the world and some of these other programs. But here, Matt, here's the rub. You ready for this? So I ask an obvious question, which is, how many players are you allowed to start in the fall with to get to your 34? And you know what the answer was, Matt? We don't know. They have not arrived at that yet. Now, I would think that if you've had several months to think about something, you might want to arrive at that. You know, because in the past, in the fall, how many people has Tennessee brought in the past, Matt?
I would say there's close to 50.
Mm-hmm. And they kept how many?
About 40-ish, 45-ish. Some people are on the team but not on the roster, but well over 40 to 45 is usually the number that they have on the team.
When guys got hurt, could they add somebody from that 45 to the roster?
No, but that's why you have 45 guys. That's the baseball. There's no way that teams can go into a season with 34 players with all the arm injuries.
That's what Tony told me. That's what Tony told me.
Can't do it. Like AJ Russell is a good example. Like, he takes up a roster spot, but what if he doesn't pitch for you, or what if you have a guy that gets hurt? In January, right before the season, he has to take up a roster spot all year. Like, does that mean you have to recruit